are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy hump day. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hope your week's off to a good start. For some of you, it's back to school, baby. Be safe out there. Slow it down just a little bit. You're going to see buses and,
mom's driving cars and
right, dad's
driving cars.
Yep. So just allow for a few extra minutes. Take it easy today. We got to get used to where the stops are again and our routine and all that. So top of the morning to you. It's back to school for your now third grader.
Yep, she's raring to go. She loves school. She is so excited.
Did you love school?
I didn't hate school, but I don't think I loved school.
It was a year-to-year thing with me. It depended on who the teacher was. Loved third grade. All right. Loved fifth grade. Fourth grade? No. Didn't work for me.
Third and fourth, the teachers were not good for me. I remember my third grade teacher. It's one of my favorite memories. It didn't happen to me. It's Bobby Fondren was tied to a desk.
Wait.
She tied him to a desk.
Okay.
She lost her job, but she tied him to a desk.
Because of that?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Well, she never came back for the rest of the year. I don't know if she was reassigned to another school.
Oh, wow.
But after we had a kid, Bobby Fondren, and I can see Bobby had a big head of hair.
What grade is this?
Third grade.
So this is like 78, something like that?
78, 79, somewhere in there.
All right.
And Bobby was a tough. He was tough,
okay.
First off, and he was a tough kid to handle in class. And Bobby kept getting up out of his chair. And it was the desk that was connected to the chair, the one-piece desk chair, right?
The one-piece thing, right.
And he keeps getting up, and he keeps getting up, and he keeps getting up. And Mrs. Hoffman's starting to lose her mind. And I mean, I remember this like it's yesterday. I'm about to be 53 years old. You get out of that chair one more time, Bobby, I will tie you to that desk. Well, that's all you had to ask, sure. Bobby. That's a dare. He's ready to go.
I smoke him if you got him now.
So Bobby gets up. She goes bat blank crazy. She gets a jump rope, proceeds to tie him to his desk with a good, what had to be, I'm not even trying to exaggerate, but it had to be a full, thinking back, it felt like 10. It had to be a full 2 to 3 minute nonstop verbal beratement in which expletives flew out of her mouth.
Wow.
You little son of a, and I mean,
damn.
He broke her. He won. And the next day, the principal was in class teaching our class.
And you never saw her again?
Never saw her again for the rest of the year.
So you think she was reassigned, or was she fired?
It's one of those questions no one asked back then. No one really wondered, what am I going to do? Go home and tell my parents the teacher went bat boy? I don't even, that's the thing. I don't even know if I went home and told my mom and dad.
No. Hey, what happened at school stayed at school.
You're darn right.
Right. My mom was a school nurse, and the teachers that she worked with, well, first off, the way it worked at my mom's school, the teachers would send the kids to my mom. Right? You obviously don't want to be here. Right? So you want to walk the halls? You want to go somewhere? Okay, fine. Go to the nurse's office. All right. They'll give you something to do. You can get out of class the rest of the class. Oh, okay. First time they'd fall for that, because what would happen is they'd go to the nurse's office and they think this, I don't know. And my mom had a huge office. It was unbelievable. It was the biggest nurse's office I've ever seen. I mean, there are ERs that aren't much bigger than my mom's office. And the kids would show up thinking that, I don't know, they're going to get Skittles and they're just going to go be able to sit and, to color or what have you. And my mom would berate them. Are you serious? Okay. Mrs. So-and-so had to send you here. You're that disruptive. Da, 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 da. All right. You don't want detention with me. All right. And so the kids would usually go back to class kind of like, hey, don't
send me to the nurse's office.
Right. Don't do that. Okay. Don't do that again. I'll behave. I promise. So, wow, tied him to a chair. That's fantastic.
It really is.
Catholic school or public
No,
school?
public.
That's even better. That's fantastic.
That's public school education in Saginaw, Michigan, folks.
Well, listen, late 70s, we had asbestos in the schools, and we were being told we had to learn the metric system because any day now we were switching.
Boy, that was about that time, too. 3rd, 4th grade for me was big metric years.
Any day now we were switching.
Yep.
Millimeters, centimeters, meters. Right. Got to know this stuff. Got to be able to figure it out.
Waste of damn time.
Boy, was it ever. Was it ever.
Is the U.S. really the only country that doesn't use the metric system?
Well, we're the biggest, put it that way. But let me tell you, Felipe, and this was the same time we were being told soccer was going to take over.
Yes.
It was the late 70s, and there was two things that were happening.
For sure.
Soccer is now going to be our new number one sport. Give it an hour and a half.
And the metric system.
And the metric system. And you better learn it. And I'm not kidding. I remember like 5th grade, we spent more time learning the metric system than we did learning, math.
This is important.
Right.
I don't know. I think we should switch to the metric system.
No.
Yes.
No.
Why?
Because it's working for us.
Kilos sounds way cooler than pounds.
It is if you're dealing drugs. I mean, what do you think?
I like it for the weight loss alone. What do you weigh? 55 kilos. I have no idea.
That's true. But you lose. I lost 12 pounds.
I lost a kilo.
Yeah, I lost 4 kilos. Wow. Damn, look at you.
I'm 1.64 meters. Well, I'm 1.65 meters.
I don't know about you, Mark, but to me, the only part of my life that us having to spend the 2-3 years growing up that we had to study the metric system, the only time it paid dividends was the Summer Olympics.
And the only time it paid dividends for me was that short time in college when I dealt weed.
Telling you, the
Worked out really well. I can tell you right now that a quarter ounce is 7 grams, a half ounce is 14 grams. You can do the rest of the math, everybody.
So were you the brains of the operation? Were you the guy who sat back with the pencil and the piece of paper in the corner of the room and, hey, Mark, how much we giving Tony?
No, it was mainly because, much like you in the canoe, David, someone I know was able to steal a very nice digital scale out of one of the chemistry rooms.
Damn.
And that, it was just a lot easier to measure everything out in grams. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm picturing you in like the corner of a dorm room, okay, with a pencil behind your ear. All right. Sometimes you'd wear the hat. Sometimes you wouldn't. Okay.
Visor, sunglasses.
Right.
And a calculator.
Mark, how much do we usually give Tony? Tony's due 1.3. We give Tony 1.3. Keeping track here. By the way, he owes us for last week. He didn't pay. And I could see you as like a foreman, walking walking around the docks. Got your little cheat sheet.
You've watched too many movies, David.
I have.
You've watched too many movies.
I definitely have.
It wasn't that
I know.
clandestine, but I like it. I like to look for it.
What was a good thing back then? You didn't necessarily have to hide it. Also, it's just the RAs would look the other way. It was just how life in the dorm was going to be. I mean, it's almost like the people in the dorm would look at the RAs and go, listen, we know why you're doing this. You're doing this to get free room and board. Okay. And we will keep it down to a dull roar. But there are certain things that we are going to insist upon, if that's okay with you. And we'll make your life great. But you got to meet us halfway. That's how it worked anyway where I went to school. We negotiated with the RAs.
I was long out of the dorms at this point in my life. That would have freaked me out being inside the dorms to do something like that. That other set of eyes would have really bothered me. This was the old house off a campus type of look.
Gotcha. We negotiated the 2 years I spent in the dorms, and then I spent a couple years in off-campus housing. So a huge house too. So we were able to negotiate in that one. And I mean, really negotiate. And I had the basement. Everybody came downstairs to do all the stuff that they weren't supposed to do.
In the guy's room that was as clean as a whistle.
It was huge. I had a huge room, but also there was more space around my room that was unoccupied. There was a bar off my room. People literally held parties right outside my door.
Let's move back there. I want that basement.
It was great. It really was. But we would negotiate with the RAs. Listen, here's the deal. We won't have any women overnight in the dorm. All right. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. How's that sound?
Oh, see, I'm not even. The girls were just down the hall in our dorms, so that's why that.
Yeah, no. See, I went to a Catholic school, and so you had guys' dorms, women's dorms. Now, granted, they were connected by fire escapes, and the doors were supposed to say closed and locked. But so we would negotiate with the RA. He would be like, "Listen, can't have women running through here 7 days a week." He'd be like, "Okay, so what days are okay?" And I remember looking right at him and going, listen, Thursday night it's quarter drafts at 3 places in town. The party's going to continue back to the dorm room. Okay. So you can't have Thursday be a night where we behave ourselves. That's not going to happen. We'll give you Sunday nights. We'll quiet down by 6. That was the rule. We had to just by 6 o'clock Sunday, it had to be quiet. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, normal, calm, no parties, no women. All right. And then
what kind of Catholics are these?
And then come Thursday, basically at like 4 o'clock, it was Animal House.
Boy, oh boy. Lots of rules.
It was an understanding. It wasn't rules. It was, we showed him respect. We'll leave you alone. He had the big corner apartment. It was like 2 apartments in one, or dorm rooms, if you will, at the end of the hall. It was like a suite. All right. And Doug was his name. Never saw him. We played by the rules. I was the guy walking 3 floors. I was the guy who would be walking up and down going, guys, come on now. Come on now. We got to behave.
Well, you're one for rules. I mean, you weren't having them sign scorecards or anything, but you were definitely keeping them
right.
Keeping them between the white lines, David.
I was the one with the car. I was the one with the fake ID. I was the one helping to get the beer.
BMOC right there.
Right. Absolutely.
At that party school, Scranton CC.
Come on, it's a full-fledged university.
Miller and Moulton, a full-fledged something. There's no doubt there right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Look, I've had, no offense, a young life compared to you guys. I have never heard someone use the word clandestine more perfectly in a sentence than you did in that segment, Mark.
Well, thank you.
I was like, what?
Yep, the Celsius to Fahrenheit ratio.
Adam, you went third person.
Yes.
And I'm going to allow it. Normally, I would make more fun of you for going LeBron James this early in the show.
This is the annual Adam gets yelled at when he gets home for no reason day. Hold on a second. Teaching kindergarten and there's yelling when you get home? Kindergarten? Huh. The green visor. You're picturing Mark in the back corner in the green visor with the pencil behind his ear, Rick? Wow, congratulations, Rick. And thank you. It's another reason we need gambling, folks. We need gambling because we need to be able to start really raising teacher salaries. Got a major teacher issue. People don't want to be teachers anymore. Coffin by, you're just figuring this out, huh?
I honestly think that if teachers made more money, it'd be such a phenomenal, like, attractive job
Yes.
that
Yeah.
so many people
Yes,
would go for.
because if you say you're a lawyer, someone thinks you're an educated person and you do well for yourself. If you're a CEO, they think that many jobs out there, look at that, you're well educated. Oh, you're a teacher. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
You're actually teaching future
couldn't
generations.
do anything else, huh?
things. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. My mom's been an educator for 30 years.
Yeah, it's funny. When someone says they're a teacher, that's impressive to me. I just feel badly though, because I know there's a very good chance of how badly they're being compensated. And what they do is pretty important.
Yeah, I just don't think they get the regard they should.
No, I totally agree with that.
If you could teach one subject in high school, what would it be?
History.
Yeah.
History?
Yep.
I actually like history.
Loved history.
And Mrs. Sutton was a great history teacher. Very impressionable teacher on me. My high school history teacher was great.
Carl Kurdiak, 9th grade history teacher.
Carl
amazing.
Kurdiak and Mrs. Sutton. I know like 3 Suttons from Michigan. That's funny. They're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll come up with a poll question for today. I do want to go back to the poll question from yesterday, though. So how badly did ESPN get its butt kicked yesterday?
74% of the people didn't think it was a big deal to leave the conference. The voting went a little bit more in ESPN's favor as the day went on, not by a whole heck of a lot.
Because when we were done with the show, it was 86-14 against ESPN. The poll question, if you weren't with us yesterday, was, did the Big Ten make a mistake by walking away from ESPN? Because the reports are they're going to do a deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC for their football, and then one has to assume their basketball is going to go to the three networks as well. I mean, Big Ten basketball has actually been on CBS on the weekends for 40 years, or 30 anyway. But I'm guessing now you'll see a lot on FS1 and possibly USA Network, maybe. I mean, NBC's turning that into their cable.
What about CBS Sports Network?
Yeah, that doesn't have great distribution. And that's one of those people have it and they don't even realize it and they don't even know where the channel is. But yeah, it's possible. If I was CBS, I'd want some games on it.
Absolutely.
But so the conference walking away from the four-letter network, and 3/4 of you think, no big deal at all. Who cares? It surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, I think it surprised you far more than it surprised me. I know that there's venom out there for ESPN, and I just think we're going to go where the games are. We've figured out how to watch games, and one of the great texts or tweets we got yesterday, I don't remember which one it was, said, hey, ESPN3 did one thing for me. It taught me how to stream. So I'm going to find the games, whether it's Amazon, Apple Plus, ESPN3, wherever the game is, I can find it now. And because of ESPN3, I never streamed games before that. And that little exercise has gotten people at least understanding as to how to do it. And they're like, I'll find it.
So this story broke during our show yesterday. The news that Serena Williams is likely to walk away from tennis after the U.S. Open, and the U.S. Open starts in, less than 3 weeks. So we just threw out there, didn't put a lot of thought into it. We had other stuff going on. It kind of broke about 15, 20 minutes into our, 9 o'clock hour yesterday, the bonus hour. But we threw out there, is she two things? Is she the greatest tennis player of all time? Not female player of all time, but tennis player of all time. She's got 23 slams. Rafa's got 22. Joker's got 21. Fed's got 20. She also has 14 double slams and 4 gold medals. So we just threw that out there. There aren't a lot of times that you can actually not separate male sports from female sports. I mean, we just threw it out there and said, actually, is she the best, period? Not that she would beat them. That's not what we're saying. But, I mean, could you think of Serena Williams as the greatest tennis player of all time? Is that a crazy thought? We threw that out there.
And I don't think we've never thought it was a crazy thought on this show.
And then the other thing that we threw out there, and sometimes in the moment, there are certain people you forget. But we said, is she the greatest female athlete in U.S. history? And a lot of people thought yes on Twitter. But over the course of the day, like every hour or two, Mark, somebody would come up with an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, some Olympic athletes came up.
Right.
A Jackie Joyner-Kersee, a Wilma Rudolph. Do you want to go Simone Biles? And I mean, remember when this Olympics was happening, she was already known as the GOAT, right? She was the GOAT and then struggled in the Olympics.
Right.
Katie Ledecky. I mean, she's damn near Michael Phelps-ish,
And
with
doing
swimming.
it in shorter events, longer events,
Right.
winning the longer events by pool lengths.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
By 30 seconds.
Right.
Right. It's obscene. We talked the other day. Sue Bird played her final regular season home. I mean, she for women's basketball, she's Bill Russell. I mean, the number of championships she has won over her life, it's staggering.
she's the most accomplished basketball player. But she's not considered the best women's hooper ever, is she?
No. And very much like Russell. Russell's the most accomplished. There are very few that think he's the greatest. If you really want to go back, you can go Babe Dietrichson Zaharias.
I'm glad you said it because I had to botch that name.
I mean, she made the cut in PGA tournaments. She played multiple sports at the highest level, died young of cancer. But, it's not often that someone is right before your eyes and is arguably the greatest. Think about it. Could we name the greatest male athlete of all time? Think about how hard that would be. Well, is Serena Williams the greatest female athlete of all time?
Well, you mentioned Olympic athletes. She's a 4-time gold medalist.
Well, right. Which further bolsters her resume.
Exactly.
I mean,
she's also an Olympic athlete.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think the answer is yes. I mean, there's not an answer because it's all opinion based.
Yeah, of course. But
I think she's the greatest female athlete of all time. Dominance to another level.
I mean, what do you think makes the proverbial? Could you imagine at this point in time in our nation's history, could you imagine a Mount Rushmore of female athletes with Serena not on it?
No,
absolutely not.
No, and there's no doubt she's on the Mount Rushmore. However you want to break it down with some of the Olympic athletes versus what their athletic prowess is versus what Serena's is, you may draw a different conclusion. But it's difficult when you look at the accomplishments, the longevity.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other side of this, is that the pure 23, and it's not a compiler stat when you have to win the final match in order to get that number there. There's no compiling here. This isn't, adding on hits late in your career. It's not Miguel Cabrera, who can't hit it anymore, just popping singles out there.
And while she's second all time in women's tennis in terms of number of slams, she's number one in what's considered the, quote, open era, unquote, which were better fields. I mean, it's almost like baseball. It's like Roots era versus post-World War II. So apparently this is it. She's playing a tune-up event now? I know she won her first round match, and don't know if she'll play another one in between that and the U.S. Open. And the number of tickets they sold yesterday was a record.
Yeah, the resale market will be pretty strong when she's playing. This just did. New York's not afraid to pay for an event.
Right. There's a little bit of money in and around Queens there. Yeah. So the other thing is, quite frankly, might get a few people to watch the event. I mean, football season basically is starting when the U.S. Open starts, and tennis in this country is, oof.
Well, if it was on life support now, and I think maybe it's better than that, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
With Serena leaving, it's a huge blow to the sport.
Well, and not only that, some of the young guns who have beaten her in the last couple of years, they're now struggling. And so we don't even know what their careers are going to be going forward. Starting Five is next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit, featuring band attachments to your feet and hips,
Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Now, Coffin Bob, by the way, we were on this a month ago, just the way the whole system's set up and what the NFLPA agreed to. The thing I didn't, of everything Goodell said yesterday, the thing I didn't like was when he said, don't know when the judge is going to make their ruling. Oh, come on now.
Hey, Mark. So this computer is fine, but when I switch it over to the sound computer, we got
Is it on?
it's on, but it's not gonna be
So we have no sound.
no sound.
What do you mean?
Starting 5.
Starting 5, no sound.
Why?
Because the computer's not working.
Great.
POS.
By the way, are our mics off or whatever? Is this?
No, I forgot to turn on your mics.
Gotcha.
My bad. Yeah, the mics are fine. Everything's fine.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Do you know what the magic numbers are?
Let's see.
Well, you know the first one.
Right. 1 for our Clutch Vodka Fantasy Football Summit. That's
There you
Clutch
go.
with a K.
Look at you. Look at you. Bringing your A game in the 6 o'clock hour. Good for you.
Wasn't the first number of the Mega Billions a single-digit number?
I don't know.
I thought it was 3.
I don't know. I thought 3 of them were in the 60s, but 1 for
The Summit.
and by the way, there are not many more spots.
No, there are literally 3 spots left as of this morning. If you want in, I would suggest going to
Today.
FloridaSportsNetwork.com. The Clutch Vodka Fantasy Football Summit. Clutch Vodka. That's Clutch with a K.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling you may hear that a few times because there's a gleam when he says it.
We have a vodka sponsor, David.
Yes,
It's
we
not
do.
just a sponsor. It's a vodka sponsor.
This is
That's Clutch with
know-
a K.
you know, I think we have persevered through all that we have persevered through to continue to do this show just so that we could get a company like Clutch Vodka to sponsor us, because you, being the sales guy of the two of us and the marketing guy of the two of us, you have out loud on this show said for 10 plus years that there are certain sponsors that you would prefer. I mean,
Yes.
you love all sponsors, obviously people who pay our bills and the whole deal, but that in theory, if you could call the shots, you'd have a this sponsor or this sponsor or this sponsor and a this sponsor.
Well, and there are certain ones that I want just for the tagline.
Right. Like,
Well, Clutch Vodka. That's Clutch with a K.
but it's a spirit, right?
Right.
And this is just, certain.
Well, you couldn't even do that for the longest time. It'd be
Right.
like all of a sudden if we got a pack of smokes that sponsored us.
That was my introduction to NASCAR. I didn't smoke, and they were handing them out to the media too. They'd give you a
Oh,
carton
pack.
of Winston's.
Yeah,
It's like,
here.
I'd bring them back to campus and go, "Hey, anybody smoke?"
That'd make you popular.
Yeah, no doubt.
Those aren't cheap.
One,
Even in the 60s when you were first going to NASCAR races.
look at you, 60s, you blankety blank. All right, 86 was my first NASCAR race. Tim Richmond at Pocono. 117. 2 weeks from Saturday, week 0, Nebraska Northwestern. 3 weeks tomorrow, 22.
For what?
That would be week 1 in the 5-day extravaganza to kick off the college football season. And then 4 weeks tomorrow, that's right, the last number is 29 till Bills Rams. 117, 22, 29. Those are our magic numbers.
I would post these in your homes just to let everybody understand. Wife, kids, other family members, that this is it.
Right. The family time's all but ending.
Your to-do list have 29 days on them. After that, I don't know what to tell you. I'll get to it around February the 15th.
Right. And maybe only have 22, because once you get to September 1st, then it's a 5-day extravaganza.
You know, this makes my Catholic parents very angry, but I can't. I have to watch football. Can't go to mass. Sorry.
Well,
Good luck with that one.
good luck with that one.
Last time I checked, the game started at 1.
Yeah, but
Now, this is the best weeks for that attitude of the London games. Okay, honey, I can't go. I got 9:30. Well, then we're going to the 8 a.m.
you ever been to some of these Hispanic Miami masses though? Whew,
I've never done that.
fighting to stay awake. Oh my goodness.
Well, they do last a long time.
Yeah.
Apparently, the computer's not working today.
So it's time now for the starting 5.
Five stories you need to know as you go through your day.
Here's David Moulton with story number 1.
Why, thank you, Vicky. Serena Williams retiring after the U.S. Open. Winner of 23 slams in singles, 14 slams in doubles, 4 gold medals. On the court, she has won $94 million worth of prize money. Off the court, far more. Greatest tennis player of all time? Not female tennis player. Greatest tennis player of all time? Question mark. Is she the greatest female athlete in U.S. history? Serena Williams, about to turn 41, retiring after the U.S. Open. A Northern California district judge denied the 3 LIV Tour players who used to be on the PGA Tour but have been suspended indefinitely by the Tour because they joined the LIV. Taylor Gooch, Matt Jones, and Hudson Swafford all were trying to get a restraining order to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs, which start tomorrow. And Judge Beth Freeman said no. And her conclusion, Mark, was, A, you guys did not suffer irreparable harm by going to the LIV Tour, which I agree with her on.
How can you not? They were paid millions of dollars.
And even if by chance they weren't given a signing bonus, when last place is $120, all right? And so she said, I think in all of your cases, you've made more than if reasonably you had stayed on the PGA Tour and performed as you had been performing. Okay, here to me, you know, and you and I are legal experts in the law and order way. And by law and order, we mean watching it. That she concluded that the Tour has the right to set its own rules.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, sorry. I think anytime we do this, there should be some sort of music behind it.
And I think that there are 2 issues. One is the Tour has clearly set its own rules. It's on the sheet of paper. But the LIV golfers are complaining. I don't know if complaining is the right word, but they're certainly arguing that, yeah, we know what's on the paper that we had to sign or else we wouldn't be allowed to play on tour. But that one paragraph's illegal. I mean, we all signed it because there was nowhere else to go. But now that there's somewhere else to go, you know, in paragraph 3 there is illegal. So that's clearly what's going to be challenged in court down the road. None of this, however, dealt with the whole independent contractor issue, which you and I certainly know, and a lot of people out there nowadays know a lot about. And we have our own feelings as to, are you an independent contractor when you're an independent contractor?
Nope. The short answer to that is no.
Well, that's certainly the PGA Tour's argument.
That's most every boss's argument.
And the LIV golfers are like, what part of independent contractor do you not understand? And you and I have thought from the very beginning that the antitrust part of this dispute and the independent contractor part of this dispute, we thought would go all the way to the Supreme Court.
And we will see, because this first case really had nothing to do with that. This was
Correct.
all about these guys trying to play
Right.
in the money grab on the PGA Tour.
Now, first off, don't you find it interesting? Because Poulter and a couple of other guys were able to get a restraining order right before the Scottish Open to play in that event the week before the Open Championship. But here, 3 guys, also part of the LIV Tour, in the States, try to get an injunction to play in essentially the St. Jude Classic. All right. And our legal system goes, no. So you think about it. Same argument, by the way. Same argument made 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. Across the pond, got a restraining order. Same argument made in Northern California. No restraining order. That's interesting, don't you think?
It is.
It's the exact same thing. Same number of guys and everything.
Well, same number of guys, but the whole argument that they tried for didn't have, I mean, even to us, didn't have a lot there.
Right. Well, the irreparable harm.
Right. I don't know what they sued for across the pond. The irreparable harm was laughable to me.
Right.
I mean, flat out was laughable. It's a waste of a judge's time.
But they got the injunction and they played in the Scottish Open. NFL news and a bunch of it from yesterday. Roger Goodell said that the reason why we're asking for a full-year ban on Deshaun Watson is the evidence calls for it. Quote, according to Goodell, his actions were egregious and he had predatory behavior. And that's why we think he should be suspended for a year. No word on when the judge's expedited ruling is going to come on down. The Broncos sale is official, Mark, $4.65 billion. That is the most that any North American franchise has ever been sold and purchased for. $4.65 billion. And remember, Forbes had estimated that the Broncos were around the 10th most valuable NFL franchise. So number 10 goes for 4.65. Roquan Smith, Bears linebacker, has requested a trade. 4 months ago, both sides were confident they'd be able to get something done. Roquan not sounding that way in the last 24 hours. His words about the Bears are not flattering. The Bears, Mark, you would think they're a different franchise. What they're saying compared to what Roquan Smith is saying. It's stunning how different their words are publicly. So Roquan Smith has requested a trade. He's technically on the PUP list because of an off-season surgery. Sean McVay has said, yeah, I've signed an extension. We haven't announced it yet because they're working on GM Les Snead's extension, and we're going to announce it together. Even though he just basically announced it. Right. 23-year-old first-round pick from 2 seasons ago, Mekhi Becton, likely lost for the year with a chip fracture in his right kneecap. It's the same knee that he blew a ligament in last year and missed all but 1 game of the season. So the 11th overall pick in 2020 right now has got BUST written all over him. And the Browns suffered a big loss yesterday. Jakeem Grant, who first off was apparently the front runner to be the slot receiver, but he was signed to be an ace returner. He tore his Achilles yesterday. He is out for the year. Baseball, Brewers beat the Rays 5-3. Milwaukee now 1 back of St. Louis. Ryan Yarborough's 0-7 for the Rays. That's not good. 13 innings in Seattle. Mariners beat the Yankees 1-0. Yankees had 3 hits in 13 innings. They had 4 cracks at it with a guy on second and nobody out in extra innings and couldn't score. What the heck? Major League Baseball team.
Hey.
Bun a guy over?
I was impressed there was only 24 strikeouts in that many innings. I thought there'd be a lot more between the 2 teams, David.
Orioles rallied from a 5-3 late inning deficit.
That's right.
Scored 2 in the 8th and beat the Jays 6-5. Braves beat Boston 9-7 and 11. Austin Riley with a homer and 5 RBIs for Atlanta. Red Sox are 3 games below 500. Oh, yeah, Chris Sale now out for the year. He apparently had a biking accident where he broke his non-throwing wrist. Man, has he had a rough 2 years. Mets 6-2 over the Reds. They've won 5 in a row. Lindor and Jeff McNeil had a homer and 2 RBIs each. Phillies have won 6 in a row. They beat the Marlins 4-1. Zach Wheeler gave up 1 run in 6 innings. JT Realmuto with a homer and 2 RBIs. Dodgers have won 9 in a row. They beat the Twins 10-3. And for the first time in a long time, someone else is in first place in the AL Central. The Guardians 5-2 win over the Tigers. They're now tied with Minnesota atop the Central. White Sox pick up a half a game on the Twins by splitting a doubleheader with the Royals, so they're just a game and a half back in the Central. Rockies bomb St. Louis 16-5. Padres finally scored, Mark.
Yes.
Soto with a homer, his first as a Padre. And then I think it was Machado with a walk-off, 7-4 over the Giants, snapping a 5-game skid. Houston beat Texas 7-5. They're tied with the Yankees for best record in the AL. Nats over the Cubs 6-5. Arizona 6-4 over Pittsburgh. And Ohtani threw 6 shutout innings and homered in the 5-1 win over Oakland before 9,300 in the Bay Area.
That gives them double-digit wins.
Yeah. Right. Him and Babe.
Right.
Only guys to have 10 or more wins and
10 or more home runs.
or 20 or more homers,
Right.
or 30 or more
Right.
homers, or right. Yeah. By the way, Tampa Bay is the 6th seed right now, a half a game ahead of the Orioles. A half a game ahead of the Orioles in the American League playoff picture. Brewers are a game back of both the Cardinals and the Padres for the division and the 6th seed in the National League. And that was the starting five.
Each day, right here on Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, the one thing that Stacy suggested, and it's up to you guys because you're still living there, but in Melissa's room there where no one's in and those blinds are shot, she says she thinks you'd be better just taking them right down, as opposed to someone coming in and going, "These are broken. What are you going to do about these? If they're broken, just take them the fuck down."
I can in 10 days.
That's kind of what I figured. That was what I.
As soon as, technically 2 weeks, because I'll be gone. Actually, Julie will leave while I have to go to Seattle next week.
Preseason game?
We were all ordered to go, all last minute. I had to rearrange a flight because I was flying out of here to go to Jersey to surprise my mom for her birthday.
Oh, that's right. So now you can't do that?
Well, now I had to get them to fly me in directly. But so Thursday, Friday of next week, I'll do the show from Seattle. And Monday, Tuesday, I'll do it from Jersey.
Gotcha.
But my thing is that I think I'm going to lose that I couldn't get. I think I can get it back. They're giving me a hard time because I did the trip on miles, and they said, yeah, when you use miles, you can't get a refund.
Yeah, that's probably the way that it is.
But
that sucks.
But if you complain enough and you go, I fly your airline, to get the miles to do the trip, and now you're going to stick it to me because I had a change of plans.
Yeah, who did I had, there was DirecTV. I was going to cancel. It took me 45 minutes on the phone. I talked to 5 people, but all of a sudden I got a pretty good rate.
Funny how that works.
Just kept mentioning YouTube TV.
It's like the Sirius XM thing. I can't afford it. I don't know what to tell you. I can't afford it.
And I really like Sirius XM. I really do. That's a tough one for me to give up. No, I do it every time.
Right. Oh, yeah. If we had to pay full price, that's $300 basically. That's
right.
A lot.
But
in Florida, it's more.
But just for the Spectrum channel alone, that's where I get all my new music from. It's a great channel.
Paul, so far so good on the scans. Thank you. Mark doing Vicky's voice is better than Vicky's voice. We need a poll question. We need a poll question in an hour. So there.
Greatest female American athlete.
Got to narrow it down to 4. Or do you just want to ask, is she?
Well, then yes wins.
All right. So, but there were 6 others that I saw nominated. Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Babe Zaharias, Wilma Rudolph, Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky, Sue Bird. So
to me, I would take Bird off and I would take Babe. I think Babe Zaharias might win it, but I don't know if enough people know who she is. Okay. Could we do a 21st century? I mean, no, not.
Well, then we have to take away 1 because we got 4 others. Joyner-Kersee, Rudolph, Biles, and Ledecky.
Who would you take off?
Let me look up Wilma Rudolph again.
All right.
Ten seconds.
By the way, I'm going to do the phone falling out.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day, and it's the first day of school for many in the state of Florida. So be careful out there driving. There's going to be buses. There's going to be a lot more cars on the road for the rest of this week, and not going to know where certain yields and stops are and lights and what have you. So just take it easy in your area.
There's kids at bus stops.
Right.
So just slow it down.
Right.
Leave a little early. Let's take it a little more Miller and Moulton.
Yeah. Let's spend the rest of the week figuring out where everything's going to be. And then next week we'll probably hit our stride.
Let's be a finesse blocking team, more of a zone block team this week.
Really? Look at you. Look at you.
little more pass blocking, not as much run blocking, if you know what I mean.
Just going to slow it down, though, right?
Protection.
We're going to run the ball a little more this week, is what you're saying? We're going to slow it down, shorten the games a little bit?
Well, we're going to be more of an RPO because we got to be very aware of our surroundings. We got to see what that end's doing over there.
But you're going to run the clock down on every play, right? You're going to snap it with like 2 on the clock?
As best we can.
Miller and Moulton, there are how many spots left in our
3
in our Clutch Vodka Fantasy Football Summit?
That's clutch with a K.
Do you sense a different tone in the voice when he says it? I do. I sense a little bit more like, our voice lady, Vicky. I mean, you're like working your way.
I'm definitely doing a voiceover with it. There's no doubt. Clutch with a K.
I mean, you're like the voice that comes in at the end of the commercial. They're like trying to sell a wine or something, and it's been an attempt at a romantic spot, and then you come in and you go
clutch with the K. It's you got the 2 actors doing the spot. They're having the drink, and then the graphic comes in with the voiceover. That's exactly where I'm at.
So as of an hour ago, there are 3 spots left.
I'm just hoping Anthony lets me be the voice of Clutch Vodka when this is all said and done.
I'll tell you,
I'm going to need a gig.
If he does, okay, you won't need another one.
That's all I want.
I'll tell you that.
It's all I've ever wanted.
FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Sign up for the Clutch Vodka Fantasy Football Summit. It's tomorrow night. It's at Shula Shows in Fort Myers, which is part of the Crown Plaza Bell Tower Shops. And it'll be an intimate affair, 50 people in a private room. There's food, there's drink. It all is entailed. Now, if you want to purchase Clutch Vodka and the like, you're going to have to come off your hip for that. We can't booze you up legally, but we can go non-alcoholic beverages legally. So 3 spots left. Dr. Roto, the featured guest. You'll get all his expertise in person that you will have and no one else in your fantasy football draft. And then you get a cheat sheet to take with you. And it's not just for the draft. Remember, there's a whole season, roster to negotiate. So 3 spots left. Hope to see you tomorrow night. We don't have a poll question.
We don't. We're close.
We're thinking
who is the greatest American female athlete?
Okay. Now, we've got 6 nominees for 4 spots. All right. You want to take Babe Dietrichson Zaharias off because you just figure that.
I don't know if people all know what her I think she would win if we did this based on accomplishments. But it's also, she competed.
Right, in the black and white era.
Right.
I mean, she was done competing in the middle of the 20th century. Right. And her life was cut tragically short by cancer. I would argue she's the greatest, by the way, for her accomplishments in multiple sports.
I would too.
I mean, and able to make PGA Tour cuts. She was such a good player. And we got a bunch of Olympic athletes. And the funny thing is Serena won 4 gold medals. I mean, I nominated Wilma Rudolph. Serena has more golds than Wilma Rudolph. And Wilma was in 2 Olympics.
Yeah, but there were only 2 events for women back then.
Well, it's true. And she won 3 gold medals and a bronze in a relay. And she won 3 golds in a single Olympics, which at the time no woman had ever done. But, Serena actually has more golds than Wilma Rudolph. It's tough to argue Wilma Rudolph's, But Simone Biles, who was considered the greatest gymnast ever, even before the last Olympics.
Right. There are moves that she makes that are named after her.
Correct.
Moves, not a move. There
Correct.
are several that are just hers.
Right. I mean, she was as dominant in her sport. It's kind of like, what Wilt was in basketball, where they changed the rules. And because you're doing this sport, I mean, Bobby Jones' line about Jack Nicklaus, he plays a game of which I'm not familiar with. I mean, that's Simone Biles in gymnastics.
Very much so.
But so Simone's going to make the list.
And it's just a shorter window. It's a Gail Sayles career versus what Serena's is.
Katie Ledecky, who's still going strong. And if you do want to find a female Olympian to put on the list in like track and field say, I would nominate Jackie Joyner-Kersee. And she had tremendous longevity. So that's the question we're working on, as to who's the greatest female athlete. We'll have it up here shortly.
You can text the show. 21,000 is the number. FSN Radio is the keyword if you've never done so before. If you have a nomination that we missed, feel free to text us, hit us up on the Twitch chat line, or you can tweet us as well.
Did you see the highlight last night? And I'm guessing you didn't because, well, it was in the Pirates Diamondbacks game. So first off, the game obviously didn't start till about 9:30 Eastern. The highlight happened around midnight. But Rodolfo Castro is just called up to the majors. And he was sliding into third base last night. Head first slide. He had his phone in his back left pocket.
Yes, he did, David.
Right. Cell phone. Right.
Mm-hmm. Had to make a call, order a pizza. I'm not sure what.
So, anyway, he it fell out of his pocket right there on the dirt. He was safe at third.
He was. That's, I mean,
Right.
Thank goodness.
Right. And so the third base umpire immediately saw the phone, pointed to the ground. Castro, who's 23, picked up the phone and handed it to Pirates third base coach Mike Ribello.
Who didn't take it?
No, he could not look Rodolfo in the face. He had his head down, shaking his head like the elder, just can't believing the young people that I have to deal with these days. All right. Now, this is funny. It's absurd.
It's hysterical.
Right. Can I just throw something out there, though? Not trying to douse the story at all. But remember, it was like 5 years ago, before the Astros cheating scandal, remember the Yankees, Red Sox, and the Red Sox were caught with, what was it, like an Apple?
The Apple Watch.
Okay. And which they were fined, threatened with suspension. And that was actually the beginning of Manfred publicly saying, hey, we need to like rein it in on the technology and stuff that's going on out there. We think you guys are bending the rules, if not breaking them. Now, obviously, the kid, I don't think he's stealing signs. He's communicating with anybody, what have you. I think he was just.
I think he's a bit of an idiot for
Right.
having his phone in his pocket, although it's a great T-Mobile ad.
Yeah. But in theory, I mean, if you're not allowed to have an Apple Watch in the dugout, right? Shouldn't it be against the rules to have a phone?
It should. But, he was just called up, so maybe he had to, mom wanted to communicate with him of when his at-bat was.
No, I know.
I believe he's going to be sent down pretty quickly for that and that alone.
Well, see, I think the kangaroo court has to go nuts here. I wouldn't send him down. But I would literally, if I was the GM or the manager, whoever is the leader of the kangaroo court, go, listen, you guys, you need to do this or else we're going to have to play the heavy and do it for real. But whatever the record fine is amongst the Pirates kangaroo court, this has to set the new record.
And look, I'm not for it. And I love that a few players in football have come out and said this whole rookie dinner is a joke, that the team can take it out and just screw these guys and make them pay tens of thousands of dollars for it. I think it's
done
absolute,
before.
Right. I think it's an absolute joke, except in this case. I don't know what the fine amount should be. All I know is that every player on that team should have a dinner paid for by that young man.
I'm guessing he's making the major league minimum. So then you divide it by per game what that is. And that should
It's a game check.
Yeah, that should be his fine. The kangaroo court should figure out whatever it is he's getting paid. And I think you get paid per day. You don't get paid per game, you get paid per day.
Okay.
But
But that's a day.
Totally. I don't know what that. I think it's 180 days is a season, and so Major League minimum is like what 650 something like that. So do the math. I don't know. Is that 3,500 a day, something like that? Whatever it is. Yeah, that to me has to be the kangaroo court fine, which I would think would be a record kangaroo court fine.
Well, and then just in the clubhouse before the next game, the manager's got to make an announcement. Everybody putting their phones in a bucket, put the Jeter bucket out there, and they got to turn their phones in.
Well, and don't you have to all the phone orders that you get? Doesn't he, when he shows up at his locker the next day, there's got to be every single Verizon, you name it, all over his locker.
And when he comes to bat on the road, all I'm doing is playing ringtones. I really am.
Ring my bell?
His walk-up music is a phone ringing. Every time. Just a different ringtone until he is annoyed by it.
I mean, I don't know, do you actually go to the local Verizon store and pay someone and say, listen, can you come to the ballpark and pull a prank and like be waiting there with like a little display case, and when they show up, right, you go, oh, hi, welcome. You must be so-and-so. Okay. We've got our new, iPhone 13.
I'm telling you, T-Mobile, that's the official sponsor of MLB. That's their wireless partner. You've got to just work this ad right, play right into it.
Apple TV Plus, MLB. There you go. Making it happen.
Even he can't miss the games.
So
phone fall. I mean, that's not even happening in the Little League World Series, David.
No, it's not. Major Leagues. Head first slide. Safe at third, and he's got call waiting.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Today's National Lazy Day. I don't really know what that means.
With you. National Lazy Day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I'm voting for. This is a pretty tough question, actually. David, that's a circulation booster right there.
I beg your pardon?
That's a circular, the leg size. That's a circulation. That's what's going to do it. I think if we get those, we'll get healthy.
She was born like you, queen in the movie. See, I said no, my love, you, me,
15 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark Lai to join us coming up at the top of the hour after the ruling yesterday that the three golfers formerly of the PGA Tour, now on the LIV Series, who wanted to get an injunction to allow them to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs, they were denied by a Northern California District Court judge yesterday. We'll talk to Mark Lai about, well, where he sees golf at, as we have three playoff events left, and then essentially the PGA Tour season is over, although we have a President's Cup in late September. Meanwhile, Labor Day weekend, there's an LIV event in Boston. There was a report yesterday across the pond that Cam Smith's a done deal. He just won the Open Championship.
Right. And he's still going to finish out the PGA season and play in these events.
He won
Take
the
all
players.
their money.
Yeah, he won the players
Right.
also. Right. Irony, by the way, is that he lives in Ponte Vedra Beach. You know, home of the PGA Tour. So word is he's getting 100. That would be million.
Right.
To join. He's 28 years old. He's the number 2 player in the world right now. Finished third in the Masters, won the Open Championship. He's battling Scotty Scheffler for not just the Tour Championship title, but, I mean, let's face it. I mean, if he wins the Tour Championship, Player of the Year?
Well, he would have been.
So
He's not going to be now.
Okay.
Scheffler won that yesterday.
Okay.
Well, come on. They're not going to give it to a guy that's leaving their tour. I don't care what. He could win the next 10 tournaments. They're not going to give it to him.
Nobody would have won 2 majors. All right. He would have won as many tournaments as anyone else, because right now I think Scheffler has 4 wins and Cam Smith has 3. So if Cam Smith, who's in second place, ends up winning.
Who votes on this?
I think the players.
Yep. I'll bet whatever you want.
No, I know you're right.
Okay.
I know you're right. I'm just pointing out, though, if Cam Smith wins, same number of wins as Scheffler, they each won a major. And Smith also won the Tour Championship and the Players. I mean, come on.
I want Cam
fairness.
Smith. Oh, no, I want Cam Smith on the back 9 of the Tour Championship. I want him to disappear at the turn like he's going to get a dog and a beer.
Right.
But what he's really going to do, he's going to go dress like Gary Player for the back 9.
Where is
with his Live Golf hat, all in black, and shoot 29 to win the Tour Championship.
So he had a press conference yesterday. And obviously bad timing for him that a few hours before the press conference, his story broke in the Telegraph. By the way, Mark Leishman also, according to that story, is joining the LIV Tour. And he's the top, I think, 30 player in the world or something like that. So Cam Smith's up there, and he said, I've answered these questions before. Guys, when I have something to say, I'll tell you. You won't have to get it from another source. And apparently one of the sources in the story was another golfer named Cameron. And not Cam Young. Apparently it's somebody else. And he said, you'll get it from Cam Smith. Trust me. All right? If the time comes, I'll let you know. And so they were just like, well, come on. I mean, are you going or not? And he goes, I'm playing the playoffs. Okay. And if there's something going on, I'll let you know.
I mean, he's going.
Yeah, of course he's going.
He's never denied it once.
No.
He has just passed the buck when asked the question a gazillion times.
Right. And I got to admit, this is awkward for the PGA Tour. They know the guy's going, but their policy is they don't suspend you until you hit your first tee shot.
Correct.
Well, the first tee shot of the next LIV event is a week after the Tour Championship. Which
irony's biting, isn't it?
Right. So in theory, he could win it. And also, he's not going to be, he'll be the defending champion at the Players and will not be playing. The Players, which takes place, by the way, 6 minutes from where he lives. Just get it, lives?
Yeah.
You see what I did there?
I got you.
Okay.
Live Tour.
Right.
I like it.
Thank you. It's kind of like Clutch Vodka.
Clutch with a K.
Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Dolphins made a minor trade yesterday.
We told you this was going to happen.
Well,
we thought it would be a receiver, but their tight end room is, I guess,
right,
a little more full than they needed it to be.
So they sent Adam Shaheen to the Texans, and it's one of those, all right, we'll give you a 6th. You give us Shaheen and a 7th. So basically, what's Shaheen worth? A half a round pick, about 15 players.
That's about it.
Yeah. So
for a guy that you plan on cutting.
Yeah. And the thought is that in the next week or two that the Dolphins may also be doing this with Preston Williams and Lynn Bowden, a couple of receivers who right now are clearly not going to make the team. Do you take much stock, by the way, in because reporters are at these training camp practices and they're charting everything. Do you take it as something that's meaningful when they say, man, bad practice today? So-and-so was 3 of 16 in the red zone.
No. When Pat Kerwin comes on our show and he's at a camp and starts telling me to worry about a player, I mean, Pat's come right on the show and said, don't worry about these guys charting every pass. I'll trust the guy that was a director of player personnel before I trust the beat writer when it comes to that.
Do you know who's having fun? And I guess that word is being used loosely by me, but, think about it. If you've been covering the Patriots for a long time, I mean, you've had pretty much the same storylines forever. And now, obviously, it's a little different. No TB12. And, which way is this franchise going to go and what have you. But the offense has never really been a problem. Well, apparently, they're having the worst training camp known to mankind. They can't block anybody. They can't run. Their receivers can't get open. Mac Jones has to hold the ball for an hour before he can find an open receiver and throw it to him. And everybody's covering the Patriots are like, listen, I don't know how to tell you that the offense looks terrible. And every day they're like, actually, it was worse today than yesterday. And then the next day they go, can't believe it. It was worse today. So I do find it interesting. It's early, obviously. Got a month till they play. A lot can happen, obviously. Also, Belichick teams notoriously start slow. I mean, he uses the September actually as like an extension of camp, and he's talked about it.
For what they do, they don't have enough time in camp to
right
implement all of the things that go on as far as what the Patriots' style of play is.
But for what it's worth, the folks covering the Patriots are like, take it for what it's worth, but we've never seen them look this bad.
That's different than charting every quarterback pass, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
That's a unit. They're saying that it's a little different when you tell me, hey, the offensive unit just doesn't look good. It's totally, oh, well, Mitch Trubisky had a rough day. He was 3 of 16 today.
Yep.
What context is that in?
No, they're just saying, hey, receivers can't get separation on anybody. And remember, this is a revamped secondary. This isn't Gilmore and J.C. Jackson at corners anymore. And they're saying none of the receivers can get open. And also the offensive line can't block the guys in front of them at all. And Mac Jones is frustrated. And there seems to be a communication problem between him and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And they're like, I'm just going by what I've seen in the past. This group just looks really different. Take it for what it's worth, folks. That's what they're saying.
Well, that's got to sound like good news to Dolphin out there.
Well, it sure does. And here are the Dolphins getting rid of players who were starting games for them recently. Because they just got so much damn talent, Mark.
Miller and Moulton, lacking talent on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Not going well for Russia.
No, but they got so many more bodies.
No, I know.
Right. Yeah, the brothers.
People always told me.
The room is great. God, that's funny. That is funny stuff. Well, I love too the Athletic. I don't know if you the Athletic guy is the one who's a reporter. His phone went off.
Oh, really?
Colton Pouncey covered state, and they just gave him the Lions gig. He's at his first presser,
Oh, no.
and his alarm goes off. And Campbell just gives it to him. Campbell's all over him. Who was it? What's your name? Pouncey. All right, I'll remember you. And Pouncey just gives it to himself in the article about Hard Knocks. And then this idiot reporter's phone goes off.
Yeah, DC, that was great video. Did you see Bill's backup quarterback, Case Keenum,
No.
is excused from like either the afternoon practice or somehow he got out of practice early and he takes off all his equipment and he has like jeans and a shirt and he puts sunglasses on and he pulls the hat down tight and he's out there asking Bills players for their autographs. And how many Bills players did not recognize him?
I saw that.
Awesome.
It was
so funny.
Wasn't it funny?
He's like, hey, man, I've been a fan since college. I appreciate it.
Right. Throws in the voice. Then I love the security people who were like, you can't be here.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got the credential.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
These credentials 2019, they don't work. Oh. And then you get your occasional,
Right.
is this Case?
That's funny.
Yeah. It was good stuff. Oh.
Oh.
Ten seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark Lai to join us a little more than 20 minutes time. Seth Everett will join us an hour from now here on Miller and Moulton. We haven't checked since the show started, but when the show started, we had 3 spots left in our Clutch Vodka Fantasy Football Summit.
Clutch with a K.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. It's tomorrow night. Crown Plaza, Fort Myers, Bell Tower Shops, Shoeless Joe Sports Cafe. Dr. Roto. He's the talent. He's the event. It's like the band Mark doesn't need an opening act. It's like our Springsteen.
He's Bruce?
Yep. He's our Springsteen, man. 7 o'clock. That's it. Shows up, walks
Hell,
out on
it's costing
stage.
like $5,000 to see Bruce.
I know.
You get this one for $35.
And food. Once again, who did the pricing?
Why was you? Anthony from Clutch Vodka is going to be out there. I'm guessing we're going to have some samples.
Let me tell you, he was very impressive yesterday. We had lunch with him yesterday, not just his product, but everything going on with that. He's very impressive. And not only that, he wants to do an awful lot. Charitable causes, do a lot of good things. He's very impressive. We're glad.
Some really cool vodka things going on, some collectible stuff. He's working with the NFL, and we'll keep you updated as that goes, but some really, really cool stuff. David was impressed with booze. He had me at vodka. It wasn't that difficult.
Right. Our poll question, by the way, floridasportsnetwork.com. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. Greatest American female athlete. The 4 choices we gave you: Serena, Simone, Katie, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. If by chance you don't know last names, it's Serena Williams, Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. And believe me, it was tough narrowing it down to 4. Babe Dietrichson Zaharias was a strong consideration. In fact, arguably, she should be on the list. We just figured, quite frankly, since her exploits were multiple generations ago, we figured that she just wouldn't get the support to have her be a viable person on the question.
And I'll be curious how many votes we get for this. This isn't a topic that most of you are into.
Right. But Serena, word yesterday leaking out that she is going to be done in all likelihood after the U.S. Open. Back to the Cam Smith LIV story here. Here are the quotes. Okay, being asked about, hey, you going to the LIV tour? My goal here is to win the FedEx Cup playoffs. That's all I'm here for. I have no comment on that. I mean, listen, he didn't duck the presser. All right. He answered the questions. He didn't get rude. He didn't pull a Koepka at the U.S. Open and go, this is really
disrespectful of the U.S. Open. I'm leaving, and I'm going to grab as much money as I can, but I don't want to answer that question right now, so I'm going to give you a real BS answer and get really high and mighty about myself and try to protect the game of golf, okay?
I mean, I'm leaving, but that's next week. The U.S. Open is this week. This tournament deserves some respect.
Me and Bryson got some golf to play together.
Right. That's my buddy. We're going to play some team golf. One of the things that did come out, though, because it all happened. It's another reason why I think we're frustrated with this whole Deshaun Watson thing. This whole trying to get a temporary injunction
was filed in the last 2 weeks.
Well, and it all took place yesterday.
No, yeah, but it was filed, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And was finished yesterday.
In 3 hours.
Done.
They presented their case. The judge went in the back, had a sandwich.
This is actually our legal system.
Right. Went in the back, had a sandwich, came back out and ruled.
How many cases does the NFL have to deal with right now that you're aware of? One. And not only... No. David, they have one case to deal with.
Well, but also the person that they're having deal with it, they obviously had to make an arrangement with their employer because this guy works for a law firm. But, I mean, basically, it's like, hey, take a half a day. By the way, here's the evidence. My understanding is neither side is presenting to him again. All the stuff that Judge Sue Robinson made her decision on, they're just taking all that stuff, I think, and giving it to him. He's going to lock himself in a room, read through everything, and make his ruling. Okay. How much time do you need?
Well, I mean, the dog and pony show, you're just doing what Roger's going to tell you to do anyhow.
Now, do you really think that? Or do you think there's actually a little bit of ethics involved here? That, yes, while Goodell appointed who it is that's going to do the ruling, do you truly believe that he appointed this person only after the person answered the question the right way?
I don't think the question had to be asked. I think this is a total sham. I don't think he picked someone who doesn't give him an answer that he wants. Now, whether or not it's going to be a full year or not, I'm not sure. But if anybody believes that they're going to go with the status quo of 6 games on this, well, then I think you have another thing coming when this decision's made. That's all.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'd like to think the league has an ounce of integrity. Not much more than that, but at least a little bit, David.
We have magic numbers, not just one for the Clutch Vodka Fantasy Football Summit, but week 0 of the college football season in 17 days. 22 days away from the 5-day extravaganza. That is the start of week 1 of the college football season. I saw a couple of lists. You like lists more than I do. I found these lists interesting, though.
You know, I was thinking about that just quickly before you get to your list. And I do like them more than you, but you know what? I think if you were doing the list, if I just finished every show and we left, got in our cars, and before we said goodbye, and I said, David, tomorrow I want a list on this. I think you'd like lists more if they were your lists.
I'm a bullet points guy. All right. More so than a list. That may be a technicality, that may be splitting hairs.
A technicality.
But, a list is like a team name and a number.
Okay. So if I give you the top 10 whatever to do and you gave me a list with bullet points and that weren't in order, would it still be a list?
Well, if you phrase the question that way, I'd have to give you a list. But so these are 2 lists, and you could argue that one leads directly to the other.
Okay.
But since the time period is different, I don't think the lists are the same. It was Power 5 teams win count since 2010. So the last 12 college football seasons.
Okay.
Number of wins. Alabama with the most.
All right.
With 150.
Wow.
Yeah, that's over 12 a year. What is even more impressive, Mark, is that they have 14 more wins than the second best program. That's more than a win a year for 12 years. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Is Oklahoma next?
No, Clemson is 136, Ohio State 135. Oklahoma is 4th.
Okay.
At 129. Georgia 5th at 122. Alabama with 28 more wins than Georgia over the last 12 years. Right. I'll tell you what, I think most people would be surprised at who number 6 is. If you had to guess, in the last 12 years.
Notre Dame.
No, Notre Dame is 9th. So if you got Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia's your top 5. Tied for 6th, actually. It's a tie for 6. So you can get either one.
Wisconsin?
Is one of the 2, along with Oregon. They're tied for 6th. 8th by just one back is LSU. Notre Dame and Oklahoma State are tied for 9th. And then there's also there's like 8 wins separating tie for 9th and 11th. So there's another drop off. The top 5, like Georgia's 7 ahead of both Oregon and Wisconsin.
Okay.
So that's more than half a win a year during this time frame. Fewest number of wins. This is mind-boggling. 29 less wins. 29 fewer wins than the 2 programs that are tied for the spot ahead of them.
So Kansas is where?
Dead last.
Right.
Right. Out of all the Power 5 teams. Since 2010, 12 years, 23 wins. The next spot is Colorado, and that looks to me to be Oregon State because they do it by logos here. Colorado and Oregon State, 52 wins apiece. 29. They have more than double the number of wins than Kansas. That's how bad Kansas has been. Who beat Texas last year?
That would be Kansas.
In Texas, right?
Right.
Okay.
And someone voted Texas number 1 in the land.
Yes, they
A
did.
coach.
Right. Right. So this century, all right, Power 5 schools, most losses. Kansas, believe it or not, only 2 more losses than Duke. Vandy, the 3rd most losses. Illinois and Indiana tied for the 4th most losses. Colorado, Syracuse, Rutgers, Iowa State, and I don't know if we've realized just how bad this school has been. Arizona with the 10th most losses this century in college football. So just most wins over the last 12 years, most losses over the last 20, just who they are. And if you think about it, any of these schools in which you think their course this year and next year is dramatically different?
Well, I think the one thing that I take from that is however we shake this out with the playoff going forward, Oklahoma State is a lot better football program than we give them credit for. And with the Big 12 without Oklahoma and Texas, as this moves forward, I do think you got to pay a little bit of attention to the Cowboys. That of all the teams that you mentioned to me, David, that Oklahoma State's on this list, doesn't that bode well for them going into whatever this new Big 12 conference is?
Yeah, like I think if we had asked people, so who's had more wins in the last 12 years, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State? And it turns out the answer is tied. I think that would surprise people. If you think about it, since 2010, Notre Dame played for the 2012 national championship and made the playoffs 2 other times.
Oklahoma State should have made the playoff once.
Yeah, yes, they should have. Yes, they should have. By the way, Florida school with the most wins in the last 12 years. This is Power 5 programs.
Gators close.
Florida State.
Really?
Florida State with 104 wins. Florida with 95. Miami with 90.
Yeah, past 12 years?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously that was the beginning of the Jimbo. And the first, 5-6 years there with Jimbo, he had it going on.
They were really good.
Yep, had it going on. And also, when was Urban's last year? 2010. Once again, Gator fan, we don't know why you guys hate him so much.
Do. We understand it.
No, I
No,
don't.
no. We know why. We don't understand it.
There you go.
That would be a better way of putting it.
There you go. Thank you. Yep. I don't get it at all. At all. Come on now. And you know why? Just to get this off my chest, this goes all the way back to Tebow's last year. And remember when I thought that everything that Tebow had given to the Gators in his first 3 years, and the fact that he says, I'm going to come back instead of going to the NFL, and most people thought he would leave. Had nothing left to do, won 2 national titles, won a Heisman, owes you nothing. And he says, I'm going to come back. And I said, don't you think, he's been running a college offense in the NFL. He's going to have to run a different offense. Don't you think that the Gators owe Tim Tebow, bring in a pro offensive coordinator, just help train
they just
him?
Brought the Michigan coordinator in there, and it looked as if they may do what you were talking about.
And Gator fans, 80+% told me, you are dead wrong. Dead wrong. We don't owe him anything. Not a damn thing. He's a Florida Gator, run the damn offense we want to win the most games. He doesn't owe us anything, and we don't owe him anything. So when the Gator fan told me that this is how black and white it is, I only care about winning. Screw Tim Tebow's future. That's what Gator fans said.
100% they did.
Well, then why don't you like Urban? Come on. Yeah, so what? He was a blankety blank. Who cares?
Well, see, when they're paying him, they can say whatever they want. Now,
Oh,
David, what's going to be interesting is now that they're paying all their players, does this change the way they feel about their players with the collective and all of those things now that are making things go seemingly right once again in Gainesville? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
minutes away. Like, are you kidding me?
The world is over as far as I know.
Is that like when your kid's chewing gum and what have you, and you go, stop
Yeah.
chewing gum, and your kid
Give
takes
me
it
the
out
gum,
and goes
right.
to hand it to you? uh,
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
it is the third and in some cases final hour of Miller and Moulton. At least that's the case in Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City and surrounding areas, Port Charlotte and Venice. The bonus hour for those in the 239, an hour away. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett to join us coming up in about 40 minutes' time. Mark Lai is kind enough to join us once again. Longtime PGA Tour player and broadcaster. You can follow Mark on Twitter. And by the way, Mark's the last 2 months, Mark's kind of been his Twitter handle. Let it fly, FLYE, to go with Mark Lai. Mark, how are you?
I'm good. I am good. It's early, and wow, I'm so excited about what's happening in golf. This is a new thing for me, you know. And I got to tell you, Dave, I'm actually more excited these days to find out the latest, the news, and I'm hearing about Cam Smith and Leishman and probably Hideki leaving for LIV, and it's exciting, and I got to say that after following this game and being on the tour, being a member since 1977, I'm kind of glad to see something a little bit different out there. Although I know there are a lot of people that hate what I'm saying because they love the tour so much, and I do too. But I think sometimes change is good. So we'll see how this all shakes out, Dave. As you know, it's very early in this game. And I just look forward to seeing how the playoffs are going, and I'm looking forward to the next LIV event. That's all there is to it for me.
Well, Mark, to me, it was interesting watching the Wyndham and seeing the names on that list and going, for everybody sitting there and telling me how great the tour is, I'm watching this Wyndham going, yeah, this looks like a Korn Ferry event name-wise. And I know they're great players, Mark, but
yeah,
they're losing name recognition. I know the FedEx Cup starts at St. Jude. Everybody will be playing. But for the rest of the events that don't have the same type of juice to them, the tour does not look the same right now.
No, you're absolutely right, Mark. It is definitely a step down for the PGA Tour, which is why they've got guns a-blaring. The last three events have been that way for me. To watch the Rocket and the 3M, even though I know they're great players. That's just, I think what it's going to do, guys, it's going to really put pressure on the Spieths and the Schefflers and, Justin Thomas and all those guys to play more. I'm sorry. That's just the way it's going to be. And the tour is not going to go away. I mean, everyone's saying, you're ruining the tour by having this attitude. You want to see people leave. Look, I want success for everybody. But I've always felt, gentlemen, that this is a game of gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. And I see what's going on the PGA Tour side. And, man, they are coming out. It's brutal. So I wish that they would just find peace, find a way that they can coexist, because LIV is not going to go away. And I don't think the tour is going to go away. And yet they may not get the sponsorship that they've been blessed to have for all these years. But I think there's a new sheriff in town, and he's got a lot of dough. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, see how it shakes out.
Mark Live, 45 years, a PGA Tour player and broadcaster. You can follow him on Twitter at Let It Fly, and that's FLYE. The PGA Tour's had this issue, though, Mark, before when you played and then shortly after your early days in the booth, in which they are trying to lean on players to play more events, and you guys look back at them and go, hey, now, we're independent contractors. You force us to play 15 tournaments, and we got to play others as well for sponsors, and you can't lean on us to play more than that. Sorry. I mean, they've been down this road before. Mark, the only solution I see for the tour, if they want to bolster their fields, they need to have less tournaments.
Well, that's the main deal. That's what's going on. It's funny how the top players want fewer tournaments, but it's such a between the 1% and the other. Let's make a tax analogy. The 1% are the ones that are paying most of the taxes in the world, or in the country, and the other guys are scrapping. So by contracting the number of events,
right,
it leaves everybody else starving.
Right.
So that's why they've gone this way. And it's almost like, wow, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So why not have another league? The minute, if it's not enough to play in, if it's not enough to play, say if the tour has like 30 events and the players say, well, there's not enough to play in now, then they should go to other places. I mean, that's what I did. I played in Australia and I played in Europe before getting on the PGA Tour. There are places to play. So I don't think that the tour should feel like they own everybody. I always have felt this, even when I was a struggling player out there. I love the tour. I love to be able to play when and where I want. But I didn't like having to get a release to go somewhere else. I felt like if I wanted to play somewhere, go to South Africa or go to Europe, that I should be able to go. And oh, by the way, Mark and David, did you know this? That back even in the 70s, 80s, 90s, people were getting paid to play everywhere, okay, except for the PGA Tour. They were getting paid to play in Europe. They were getting paid to play in Asia. They were getting paid to play in Botswana. Remember when they had the $1 Million Challenge? And so now it's ingenuous to receive money, to guaranteed money to tee it up. I mean, Greg Norman would never play in Australia unless they gave him as much as the purse. And he got, that's just the way it was. And Sandy Lyle and Woosnam and Monty. I mean, they made stacks and stacks of dough. So now this new novel idea that the LIV has, well, hey, let's pay them. Let's pay them guarantee. Now everyone's lambasting LIV for ruining the game. They haven't been around as long as I have, guys. So I just know, when Jack went over to play in the Australian Open, I guarantee he didn't go for free. And that's the same thing with all these guys. Arnold Palmer, I played with him in New Zealand. You think that he went over there for nothing?
Well, and Mark, not even all of those things. And I know they're not the same thing as the countries and places that you're talking about, but you guys made your living going to the Monday Pro-Am after wherever the Sunday tournament was, and you got money for doing that. You guys have been getting paid to play golf. That's your job, for crying out loud. And apparently this is the one job where you're not allowed to make extra money, is with the Live Tour.
Well, that's where I'm just saying, what is wrong with this picture? Look, I played Monday Pro-Ams because I had to. If I missed a cut, I got the donut for the week before. And that's another thing that I've always had a bone of contention with on the PGA Tour. They're proud to pay fewer and fewer players. And they're saying, well, it makes you tougher. Well, the bull. The thing is, they went from a 70-player cut and ties to now 65-player cut and ties. I guarantee you that the membership was not on board with that. Okay? whoever in their infinite wisdom figured that that was a better way to do things, 65-player cut rather than a 70-player cut. It's only 5 players, but let me tell you something. When you're at, grinding for your top 125 and you're not one of the big boys, those little things just kind of add up. And so that's why I think that, players need to get a little bit more of a union. It's this player advisory council. Look, I love all the guys that are on that, and I always did like them. But it seems like when they got into the room with the big boys, and that would be the Finchams of the world and all those these heavyweight, United Airlines CEO, Dick Ferris was in there. They would just dictate to the players, and the players would just kind of go along with it. And it was intimidating because these guys are making a living. Here, I'm looking at Jordan Spieth is still playing on the tour, and he's on the board, and he's making tour policies that may affect him. I just don't think it's right. I just don't. I think that players on the board ought to be retired players that aren't influencing the policies of everyday tour life that actually may stack the deck in their favor. I just don't. Does that sound right to you?
It makes sense. Mark, I'm curious. Do you think that then if the PGA Tour came out, because they made so many changes that Mickelson was talking about, what if they made one more and said, everybody that doesn't make the cut gets 10 grand, whatever the number is. But
right.
that guy 66 through 120 got a little something. Are we that far away from that?
We shouldn't be, because they're pissing away money like this PIP thing. They're just trying to find ways to give money to make the top players happy. The PIP, first place. Let's see. Tiger Woods. Yeah, he needs the money. Second place, Phil Mickelson. Yeah, good idea. Just pissing away $40 million bucks. Okay. So that's when the rank and file says, hey, wait a minute, man. I'm just kind of grinding here. I got, wife and 3 kids. We talked about we talked about money. How much it costs to be on the PGA Tour. How much does it cost you a week? Those are some pretty significant numbers. But what they don't talk about is what it costs at the family level. Yeah, these are tour expenses. But now you double or triple that, and now those are expenses at home with your wife and 3 kids, unless you're, doing well enough to have a jet and travel everywhere. It's no big deal. But the tour needs a union. I'm dead set against unions. I'm just not. In this case, where the tour is making less money, okay, than all the other major sports, and somebody put out on Twitter, and I don't look at Twitter as being the gospel, but there was a guy that posted this thing, said that baseball players make like 51% of the total gross brought in. Football, 52% of the total gross brought in. Golf, 34% of the total gross brought in. So that means 66%
Right.
is going somewhere else.
Mark,
okay,
we're up
Yes.
against it. Commercial break. Can
Okay, you got it.
Can we hold on and bring you back on the other side?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
More
You
with
bet.
Mark Lai after this on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, here would be my thing to you. You said it's a participation trophy. I think the point is like 156 guys tee it up at a tour event and 80 of them don't make the cut. They get no money for their time. Half of them had to play in a pro-am, had to.
Look, this is basically saying a football game, the losers don't get paid.
Right.
They still played. They still showed up. They still have to get hotels. They still have to fly there.
They have to pay their caddies, by the way. The caddy has to get some money for his time, but they don't get any money for their time. That's all we're talking about there. Should the tour have to pay the people who don't make the cut?
And I think his point about just that PIP money alone would take care of that.
Yeah. Listen, we always thought 15 plus years ago that the tournament they should have made a big deal out of was Q School. I mean, when you're playing for your livelihood, can there be any bigger stakes than that? Okay. And to me, like, I have no interest in the tour championship. A cash grab.
I don't like, and I hate the scoring.
Yeah.
One guy starts out at 10 under or whatever the hell it is. Dumb.
I don't.
The PIP money is, I don't know the exact acronym for that, Mello, but what it was is that they basically found this money and gave it to the most popular internet players and to give money back to the game. And Tiger and Phil both got huge chunks of cash last year.
It was last year they put it in for the first time, and they put it in because there were rumors about the LIV. And so they were trying to prevent the top players from leaving. And so I think it was it 10 million for first and 8 for second?
Something like that. And it went to Tiger and Phil.
Yeah, imagine that. They're the two, and they based it on social media and tweets and follows.
Popularity.
Right? And amazingly, Tiger and Phil were 1 and 2. Right. So think about it. The 10 most popular players, who are arguably 10 of the 15 richest players on the tour, they were handed, here's $4 million for being the 6th most popular player on tour.
Yes, Arch. So Tiger got paid not the money he was going to get from the Live Tour, but yes.
Right. The PGA Tour called it a reward for what it is you bring to golf.
I mean, it was their ESPYs. They made up a couple awards all of a sudden and gave some money away.
Right. Tiger, who didn't play in an event, got a check for $10 million. Now, Phil's been making the argument for 15 years that Tiger's been woefully underpaid by the PGA Tour. Now, it was also a little self-serving because it was Phil's way of saying, I'm probably underpaid for what I bring to the table too. But I mean, to Phil's credit, and this is when the two of them absolutely hated each other. Okay. Phil has said forever, Tiger should be making more money.
there was a tweet that came up. I think Ben Volen retweeted it from covers.com talking about the Patriots this year and how much it was smoke and mirrors last year. Said if they get to 9 wins this year, Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. I mean, just basically right after you said that about their offense.
Hey, Felipe, jump on and tell them we're coming back. Thank you.
Yes, Paul, it is how they get their sponsorship money. Yes.
10 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Lai rejoining us after the break here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark, a lot of people that we've talked to are concerned that this is not going to leave the tour and the golf world better off whenever this fight is done. You seem like someone that believes, you know what, this is messy, but when this dust settles, you sound as if you're a guy that believes that the golf world will be better off down the road because of this.
Well, I think the key word there is world. All right. This is a worldwide sport. And the PGA Tour has sniffed around in other parts of the world, starting developmental tours in South America and then in China. And, then, of course, the Canadian Tour, the McKenzie Tour is now PGA Tour Canada. So they know, all right? So there's only so much room on the PGA Tour for all of these players, and it's so brutally competitive that I just feel like the rest of the world gets shorted. I honestly do. To grow the game, you have to have significant events in the rest of the world. And I think that this LIV thing is that. And it not only is for the independent player, but it also gives you a World Cup football kind of a vibe. If they get a team South Africa, if they get a team, UK, or a team Germany, and I think that's the aim. Now it brings in, I feel, a little bit of a different aspect to this game. We love Ryder Cup. We love President's Cup. We like the Solheim Cup. They have the Sevi Cup. These are great ambassadorship type of games to me. So why not have a tour that, regardless of where the money comes, look, he is without sin can cast the first stone. I mean, this is what kills me. Oh, they say it's blood money, and you can't take money from these, MBS, or you can't do this. Well, man, that's so crazy. They're shouting from their ivory towers wearing their Nike gear, which is made in China. And, we don't want to get into the public, the rights infringements on the Chinese people. So look, I think it's going to be good for the game. And I know I'm very in a small percentage of people that think this is in fact the truth. The players and the tour, of course, are trying to, protect their deal, and they have the best deal going. Period. No questions asked. But I honestly think, guys, that golf was born in the UK, right? It doesn't live there anymore. It lives kind of over here. But I think golf lives everywhere, and that's how big the game has got. You know who I saw the other day when I was at TPC? I was on vacation, guys. I saw Carlos Franco. And Carlos Franco from Paraguay or Uruguay or something like that. I mean, and I said, so what do you do, Carlos? going over to try to qualify for the British Senior Open. You know, there are players, great players from all over the world. And I feel like, you know, they don't get enough ink. They don't. So I think this LIV will expand. They'll maybe go to South America, like the Olympics was. They'll probably go to South Africa. They'll probably go to, you know, wherever golf is growing. They're going to definitely go to someplace in the Middle East. You know, they've been going to Dubai. They've been going to Emirates. So this is a way, and this kind of matches Greg Norman's thing. Man, people just beat up on Greg Norman like he is worthless and scum. This guy's a thinker. He's not in it for small potatoes. He's in it to grow things. And that's, the people are just beating up on him for this. But for me, growing up here in America and playing in Europe and Australia, I loved going to those places. I absolutely did. And the only reason I didn't go to them more is because I couldn't afford to leave the PGA Tour. I couldn't afford to leave and play for 2 weeks somewhere because I would lose my status and my position in the PGA Tour. And I only had a 1-year pass because I had to make the top 125. When you look down near that top 125 number and you see Webb Simpson and you see Ricky Fowler and you see some guys, you say, damn, that guy was good. You know? And what happened? Well, he didn't become a shitty player. He just had a bad year. You know? I mean, so that's what I think what the tour is having to deal with here. And that's why LIV is a successful jump. I mean, I look at Cameron Smith. If he jumps over there for $100 million, which I heard is a number, guys, I mean, he's got to be the leading money winner for 10 years in a row on the PGA Tour.
Well, and Mark, how many guys are jumping because of him? I mean, you know, there have been older players. Now you get number 2 in the world. How much is this going to just amplify other golfers wanting to go in your estimation?
I think there's going to be a serious jump of other players. If there's any money left at LIV, I think there is. I think after the playoffs, there's going to be a huge wave of players. And I look, I just don't blame them whatsoever. I look at Pat Perez. I mean, the guy's been grinding his whole damn life. He was almost out of the game at age 40. And he's saying, you know, I got my 25 up front and I'm winning all this. And, you know, and it's great. And he wears a shirt that's got $100 bills written all over it. You know, it's hilarious. And I like that guy more than just about anybody. And, you know, when he was playing a normal player on the tour, I didn't really like him. I thought he was a hothead and all this stuff, but this guy's smart. He's been on the radio. He's expanding his horizons a little bit. And I think it's funny what he does. And he's laughing all the way to the bank. And look, it may not be all about money, but for the rank and file, it is. The rank and file are just trying to survive and make a living. They're not trying to be, you know, in the history books. Let's be real. Not many can be in the history books. So I think that 98% of the players out there who will never make the history books are saying, I sure wish they'd throw me a bone over there from LIV. I'd be jumping in a heartbeat, especially for a 4-year contract or a 5-year contract.
Mark, we've got a minute.
Okay.
All right. No. So, but here's ultimately what we think it comes down to. We think based on past answers that you feel the way we do, that an independent contractor means just that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that ultimately what it really needs to be decided here? That if in fact an independent contractor means you can play golf where you want, when you want, then there will be a competitor for the PGA Tour, correct?
Absolutely. That's where I'm going with this whole thing. I love the tour. Okay. I've been a member since 1977, but what's right is right. And rules, I understand certain rules, but if you can, they've allowed people in the past to bend the rules, like Seve. They set a special number for Seve, 10 events. He couldn't make the 10. So he lost his membership. So I think they can coexist. And for them not wanting to try to coexist, I think is stonewalling. And that's where I fault the tour on this.
All right, 10 seconds. Any one of your friends in the golf world agree with you, or are you on an island?
No. There's a lot of people. It's like Trump voters. they don't want to admit to the world that they're Trump voters. There you go.
There it is.
There it is, baby.
Mark, you brought your A game today. I will give you that.
Thanks,
Thanks
Mark.
a lot. Let's put this in the archives and throw it up into outer space, okay?
Mark, we do a few best ofs. This will make it. Be well.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Mark Lai, 45 years, a member of the tour, player and broadcaster.
Whoops.
That's an independent thinker right there. Mark Lai, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Remember, Let It Fly, FLYE is his Twitter handle, Let It Fly. Seth Everett does a lot of that, and he will join us next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Seth,
Hi there.
how are you?
What's going on? Like the
Oh,
new digs?
Look at you with your Arsenal stuff on there. Nice.
You know it, baby. Season's underway. Shortest off season, it was like 10 minutes.
Yeah, they don't really have an off season.
Well, it's pushed up because of the World Cup. You know, they're taking two from the second week in November till the right after Christmas. They're taking 6 weeks off.
No,
So-
I know, but between the Euro, this and the
Oh, I know,
wait
but,
for that, and
but it's even earlier. This is the earliest start for the Premier League.
Okay. When does it normally start? September?
End of August, like
End of August?
It started August 5th. That's a month early. That's like, you know, starting the baseball season in March.
There's a baseball season?
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually been watching more the last couple of weeks,
Well,
mainly because there's nothing on during the week.
oh,
We finished Maisel, so that's done.
there's
Started
so
watching-
much. There's so much.
There's more. It's just it's compatibility with the wife and I watching shows.
No, I got a show for you. It's very short, only 6 episodes. The White Lotus.
Okay.
It takes place at a resort in Hawaii, and all the guests each one is more effed up than the next.
All right.
Oh, it's tremendous. I watched it over the weekend. I was watching it because we were painting part of our house. So I was kind of stuck in here, and I put it on, and I think I saw the whole thing in 3 days. It's great. It's nominated for all these Emmys.
We started watching Bear last night.
Okay. I've heard good things.
I have two. It was the first episode. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to get better because the first time. But I mean, it was just one of those.
There's so much. I'm trying a new show this week. My wife and I are trying Our Flag Means Death.
Oh,
It's about a bunch of wannabe pirates. It's a
Gotcha.
comedy from Taika Waititi. You saw? I see. I can see your chat room. I clicked on something.
yeah. What do you have to click on to do that? Because I know you can, and Moulton doesn't know how to do it.
If you go off private chat and you click on comments, you can see comments. I guess they're coming from Twitch.
Yeah, they are.
But I watched White Lotus last year. Excellent. Yeah, it's excellent.
And I do know restaurant life. That's why I don't know if my wife will like Bear as much as I will. Because it's angry language nonstop, and that's not her favorite thing.
Yeah.
Angry's not her favorite thing. Well, I mean,
The White Lotus was amazing.
Nice.
Oh, Our Flag Means Death is good. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we're gonna try to, and also Only Murders in the Building with Martin Short.
That's the other one I want to start watching.
Oh my God, that is tremendous, tremendous,
And funny,
show.
right?
Oh, hilarious! Well, funny and a murder mystery. It's great. We were out to dinner with friends, and we spent like half the dinner talking about all the shows we're watching.
The Old Man is what I'll start watching that one myself. I'm just about done with Better Call Saul. The Old Man's my next show.
Yeah, Better Call Saul finale on Monday. I love how people on social media are saying Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad. It's always the most recent thing.
It's
Always.
not better, and it's not better
It's
than
the
Breaking Bad.
announcer that says this is the greatest catch of all time.
Yep, you're totally. And I think Better Call Saul is excellent. I think it's a really good show. It's not better than Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad was amazing.
What's the murder show you just described?
Only Murders in the Building.
Only Murders in the Building.
It's
Steve
Martin Short is hysterical. Steve Martin's great. Selena Gomez sounds like she needs to clear her throat, but other than that, she's great. Should talk a little like this.
Yeah, Paul, I kind of figured that. That's why that's going to be an after the show for me.
After the show.
Oh, it's great. Perfect when I play golf a couple days a week, but the other days I'll come home, walk the dog, and plop down for a couple hours. It's a great decompression.
10 seconds. I gotta watch White Lotus, Seth.
Look, it's fantastic.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's one of my favorite and one of my, I don't want to say nervous. I don't even want to say worrisome, but just, I feel least prepared segments of the week.
How do you prepare for a segment in which you don't know what direction it's going to go in?
Exactly. It's Seth Everett time here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. You know Seth, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, Tech Stream. Apparently he's got a couple other podcasts. They haven't quite made the cut yet. They're not good enough to promote. You can follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, guys. That was amazing segment on the golf. You guys did ventriloquism wonderfully.
Well, Mark Lie's phenomenal. I have to admit, I haven't gotten that many texts from an interview in a while. All right. People loved what Mark had to say. And
he was very good. No, very compelling stuff.
Yeah, that he has his views, and imagine that. It's okay if you disagree with them.
And we won't stream any of that interview on Peacock this time. Just
or any of the others.
By the way, did get a request that somebody thought that you needed to be asked about Pete Rose and and in Philadelphia on Sunday. That
went well, didn't it? The the fact that he is a pig is without saying. look, you want to include him in the 1980 World Championship? Fine. I didn't have a huge problem before it. He ostracized that reporter. That was a joke. What I was disappointed by is that they saw the backlash. Social media allows for instant backlash. So the minute they have that press conference and the reporter asks about the affair with the 14-year-old girl, and he dismissed her, immediately that's trending on Twitter. The Phillies have to know, do not let Pete Rose in the broadcast booth. You cannot
but
use
Seth,
that poor judgment.
But he's beloved in Philadelphia. The
I
Phillies.
don't care if he's beloved in Timbuktu. It doesn't matter.
But Seth, think about it. It's a Phillies broadcast. It's a Phillies game. It's a Phillies night. They're honoring the 1980 team, a celebration 2 years in the making. Phillies fan is sitting at home going, wow, Pete Rose is there. Can we hear from him? We never get to hear from Pete Rose.
And female fan is like, why is this punk in my booth?
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
I'm not saying don't schedule it. I'm saying have the wherewithal when the incident happens and it's immediately trending on social media. Use your judgment and disinvite him into the broadcast.
Seth, we can't run our world based on what's trending on Twitter, for the love of God.
But did you not see the press conference? If you saw the press conference, it was inappropriate. He shouldn't have a microphone. And they should know it.
That very well may be true. They gave him one.
And if they're saying it's because they didn't know, that's why I brought up the trending on Twitter. It's not because of trending on Twitter. It's because it was abominable. And he shouldn't have a microphone in front of him, especially on a Phillies authorized broadcast.
Just had to get that question. That was a request. Seth is our only guest of the week that takes requests, or that
I did a radio show with him once.
With Pete.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a mouthful. He's
or so are you, buddy.
Yeah, well,
it's just a different mouthful. That's all.
I bet he doesn't come back. I can't even make the gambling jokes. And again, he bets.
Seth Everett, Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. I will say I went to get water during the break, and you guys were having the conversation on Twitch, and apparently it was all about Saul.
Well, it was all about TV shows. That was the crux of the Twitch break. We go through what shows we're watching, what are good shows, and that's some of the things. But all right, so I get that Pete Rose is a horrible person. What would you have done? Would you have escorted him from the building? Do you let him stay there?
No. I just wouldn't have let him in the booth. It's very simple. My whole thing is he doesn't get thrown out of the building. He doesn't get a microphone. And if you saw the clip with Tom McCarthy didn't know how to handle that situation. Well, it was an awkward situation that is completely preventable. You want to say the press conference caught you off guard? Okay, I'll buy that. I don't blame the Phillies for having Pete Rose in a press conference, but once that happens, at least an hour goes by before first pitch, and he didn't come in until the 5th or 6th inning. The Phillies have to say Pete Rose is not coming in the broadcast booth.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And of course, whenever you talk Pete Rose, then you get people who immediately jump in about the Hall of Fame. And for the record, Miller and Moulton have always thought he belonged in the Hall of Fame. But right, the Hall changed the rules so that he's not even allowed to be voted on. We think that's wrong, but it's their
room.
It's their museum, and they get to set the rules, and they run it the way they run it. Hey, we did get somebody who also wanted me to throw it in there to you that think about this. The Orioles could make the playoffs and the Padres could not. And if you think about that, that the Orioles who are spending $1.73 and the Padres who are in the luxury tax, and that in theory, if the players just had the whole thing with the owners. And if you think about it, as much as we love the Orioles story, it is the worst case scenario for the players, isn't it?
Well, it's bad also because the Orioles traded Trey Mancini and Jorge Lopez, their closer.
And they
punted. The Orioles punted as an organization, and they're in it, and it's a shame. And Look, the guys, it's almost like the movie Major League, where the guys are going to win despite their owner. But it's a shame, if you are in a race, compete. You want to say if you have a bad season and you want to, mortgage the present to help the future and all that nonsense, that's fine. What the Orioles did was abominable, and the fact that they're mathematically, right in the thick of things, I cannot believe they traded their closer. I still can't get over that. That was dumb. The other thing I really liked was Jordan Montgomery shutting out the Yankees. That was really funny, because that was a trade that needed to happen.
Yeah, the Yankee fans didn't understand why they were trading away a left-handed starting pitcher who had been effective, and then he comes back and beats
them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Those 5 innings of shutout ball.
Silly. Just a silly game.
Well, and Seth, yeah, it's one thing with the Orioles, but that's the Twins. I'm not sorry, the White Sox did nothing. The Guardians did nothing. I mean, it was
no. Doing nothing and trading away your 2 best players when you're 2.5.
They didn't trade away their 2 best
1.5 games out is a big difference. If the Orioles did nothing and they stood pat, I'm not saying the Orioles even have to add. I'm saying don't take the 2 best players away, or 2 of the best players. They're not the 2 best, but 2 of the best players. That's a joke. The Orioles are a calamity.
Well, actually, they're not, though. I mean, what they did, we all don't like. All right. And although we pointed this out and nobody pays attention to this team, but the Seattle Mariners kind of did something like this a year ago. They started playing well. They got within a handful of games of the playoffs. They hadn't made the playoffs in 20 years, and they traded away their best reliever. And the locker room kind of freaked out, and the GM had to go down there and get yelled at and the whole deal. But the Mariners actually played better baseball from that point on to the end of the year, missed the playoffs by 2 games. And in this case, for those that didn't follow, it's not just that the Orioles GM traded away 2 of his best players. He actually said the words, "We're not a playoff team." Okay. I know we're having a nice little run here, but I don't think we're a playoff team. And that's why we made the moves that we made. And since then, I think they're 7-1, and they're a half a game out of the playoffs. So the GM's had to eat words from his own team.
I mean, the Orioles, but the Orioles GM is just doing, what his orders are. I can't kill him. He's just doing what he's told.
Did you ever interview Serena for Sports with Friends?
Who?
Serena Williams,
U.S.
Oh,
Open.
Serena Williams. I'm sorry. I thought you said Sereno. I'm like, Chris Carino? Who?
No, I'm not asking about a backup catcher somewhere. No,
the net. I thought you meant the Nets announcer, the Brooklyn Nets guy. No, Serena Williams. I've never interviewed her. No, we've done podcasts about her, but we've never talked to her. She'd be a great guest. I'm supposed to go out to the Open. I'm supposed to be there 6 or 7 days. So I think that's going to be a possibility. I also might do a podcast with Layla Fernandez. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Open. And I might actually step foot in a baseball stadium when I go out for the Open. I've been reaching out to set up a podcast with Buck Showalter.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
would be fantastic.
Yeah. I asked him if he'd meet me in the parking lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to think back, and obviously, Mark, this is up our alley for how old we are. Chrissy had announced when she was playing in her last Open, and she got beat the round before she would have played Martina. We were all hoping that she was going to play Martina in the semis. It'd be a fitting way for her to either beat Martina on the way to the finals, or if she's going to go out playing Martina. Zena Garrison beat her the round beforehand. We knew when McEnroe was playing that this was his last Open. We knew, to a much lesser degree, Andy Roddick, that it was his last Open. But Steffi retired a month before the Open. She got hurt in between Wimbledon and the U.S. Open and just retired. And we knew when Agassi was playing his last Open. We knew when he lost
Connors too, didn't we?
No. Connors, the year after he made it to the semis, gets beat in the second round by Lendl, never plays the Open again. So it's interesting that now that we know Like we didn't know
Well,
Sam.
you kind of know. Let's just be clear here. The Vogue article, she never said she's retiring, and her Instagram post never said she's retiring. What she said was she's moving away from tennis, and the media jumped on that, and it's actually been grossly misreported.
Well, okay. All right, because she then does say, it's basically the end. I just don't like to say the word retire.
Right. She didn't, but in the Vogue article, when the Vogue article was released, she hadn't said retired, and immediately, some news outlets went on that, and it spread like wildfire. And she actually, I think what's going to happen is she's going to announce it at the Open, the week before it starts. That's the way I see this playing out. That's when I won't get her on Sports with Friends.
Right. That'll be the reason why.
That'll be the reason. But in 5 years, she'll be promoting some, wellness thing, and I'll get her that way.
Perfect. What is on Sports with Friends this week, Seth?
Amazing. We pay tribute to the late, great Vince Scully. And in order to do so, after hours and hours of trying to get archived audio, I have my last conversation with him. It was a pregame show for the New York Mets radio network from August 24th, 2014. It was a 6-minute retrospective on his career with Vin Scully. And we found that audio. It's only aired once. It only aired that one Sunday in 2014. Never aired again. Wasn't ever put on a podcast or anything.
Who had it, Seth? I'm just curious. Did you have
actually the guy? This was my 11th try, but the guy who's the executive producer, Ray Martell of the Mets, he was there the last year at WOR, and when WOR was rumored to be losing the Mets rights, he thought they were all losing their jobs, so he downloaded everything from the Mets, and he had it on an encrypted hard drive, and he had to go through it, compress it, and do all this thing. It was a whole to-do. We had to go on Baseball Reference to find out when the Mets were in Los Angeles, so we knew what we were looking for. It was amazing. And then Josh Rawitch was the PR director of the Dodgers for 15 years and worked directly with Vin Scully. He's now the president of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So he did about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes about Vin. So it's Vin Scully and Josh Rawitch as a tribute to the late, great Vin Scully. It gives me goosebumps just hearing it again. It was
right.
wild.
30 seconds.
Hall of Justice, we talk about Batgirl getting canceled. And actually on Tech Stream, we do the same thing, but very different conversations. Hall of Justice is about the superhero realm of the whole thing, but Tech Stream is about Warner Brothers and Discovery and merging their apps and what that all means and how tone deaf it looks to kill a movie while you have Ezra Miller, who's getting arrested left and right in The Flash. Why not cancel that movie and keep the movie with the Latina lead and the Muslim directors? And just, it's very tone deaf how Warner Brothers canceled that movie. So we talk about it from two different angles on Hall of Justice and Tech Stream.
Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, Tech Stream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth, all the best to you and the family, to those in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Have a great rest of your day. The bonus hour is next. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts.
FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, presented by Clutch Vodka.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. The Clutch Vodka Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you get all moved in?
Well, yes and no. I still have to build my bed.
Build your bed.
A bed frame. Bed frame. Build a bed frame. Yeah. Headboard.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I built.
What do you need?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm good.
You don't need furniture. You're all...
Or okay, yeah, furniture. Like a love seat. And then David said he has a dining table.
Oh, there you go. That's what I was getting at.
I need a dining table, yes.
There you go.
And then a TV. We haven't decided who's buying the TV yet.
You don't own TVs?
Well, we own TVs, but they're all our TVs that we'll probably have in our rooms. But we want a living room TV. You know, like a 55, 60-inch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found a couch. Thanks to it was David that suggested St. or was it? Yeah, it was David. Yeah, the St. Matthew's house.
Yes.
Ah, dude.
Yep.
Found a nice couch for $170. Not bad, and it's really comfortable. We're also trying to get one of those coffee tables where it has like a hidden storage compartment, and then it like kind of comes up. I don't know how to describe it.
I know what you're talking
You
about.
know what I'm talking about, yeah. Kind of pops up, and you got like a little desk in front of you. It took me 2 hours to build a dresser yesterday with my dad. I don't know why it took so long, but it took me 2 hours. It was hell. My back still hurts.
You're not in the shape you think you are then, because I'm 35 years older than you and worked all day Sunday.
No, I kid. My back is fine. But my dad's back still hurts.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, it's Mello. He's, basically my age. I thought I saw where it said he went to the University of Scranton, but when I saw his picture, it did nothing for me.
Yeah, no kidding, but they're cheaper when they're not assembled. You ever heard of Wayfair Man?
Yeah, Arch, I don't think he can wait till March, but got it.
Yeah, thanks. If we need a new couch by then, I'll keep that in mind. I will say though, I don't know if it's just the place has been left alone for a while, but the water is a little mucky.
Can I ask a question? The comment about the Screen Actors Guild giving Steve Martin his card back. What happened? Why would he not have his card?
I'm sorry, what?
In our Twitch chat room here. Were you guys talking about something?
We're coming back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day, first day of school. How about that? Hope everybody got off to a good start this morning. I know some of you may be heading to school right now for the first time. Be safe, be careful. Hope everybody has a great day. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Do we still have spots left?
We do. There are 3 spots remaining in the Clutch Vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Fantasy Football Summit. It's tomorrow. Shoeless Joe Sports Cafe. It will start at 7 o'clock. The doors will open at 6 o'clock. Dr. Roto on hand to help you win your fantasy league.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing. So go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up while there are still 3 seats left for you to sit in. Our poll question: who's the greatest female athlete ever? With the word that Serena is in short order walking away from her career as she approaches 41 years of age. And Serena, one of the 4 choices, along with Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Simone Biles, and Katie Ledecky. And there have been others that were nominated. Don't know what to tell you. That was
Serena's basically getting all of the votes.
She's getting all of it. Okay, it's interesting. A local reporter took to Twitter to nominate Simone Biles yesterday afternoon. And my response to her was, might have won this thing before last Olympics, but that last Olympic performance hurt her. Even though in theory you've already accomplished so much, and shouldn't just another Olympics, add to it? Or if it doesn't go well, oh, well. I mean, if you're the GOAT going in, can you not be the GOAT coming out? I don't know. I'm asking.
It certainly seems that, and while we have more understanding for mental health than we've ever had, it certainly seems that her not competing hurt her standing.
Yes. And I would argue it should. Every time as an athlete that you go out there, it's fair or not. That's why. And you're right. We have not talked about enough over the years, just I don't know if courage is the appropriate word, but the strength, the credit, maybe, that athletes forget, putting yourself in the arena. You can fail. It's hard. And now most of the times the greatest don't fail. That's why they're the greatest.
That's why, exactly.
But there are times when the best to ever do it fail. She had a rough Olympics. The pressure got to her. There's no other way to put it. The pressure got to her. In a different day and age, we would say she choked.
Oh. And then some.
And she couldn't handle it.
Simple routines.
Yeah.
Things that were simple for her. I shouldn't say simple routines. Things that were simple. Things that were like walking for her. She couldn't do.
Just a month earlier. Right. U.S. Nationals, she crushed it. Right. She was the face of the Olympics. She was NBC put, banked everything on her, the whole deal, all the endorsements. Yeah, the weight of it got to her. Hey, I talked about it yesterday. I mean, I think Serena's the best ever. I do. But she flat choked away a Grand Slam. It was the golfer a couple of weeks ago at the 5-shot lead with like 4 to play, and it literally looked as if for an hour he didn't know how to play the game of golf. I mean, sometimes it happens. Joe Montana was hyperventilating in a huddle in a Super Bowl. Had to call timeout, calm himself down. I mean, it happens. Doesn't happen often. Not to the best, but it happens.
But Serena dominating our vote. You can go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network on Twitter or FloridaSportsNetwork.com to vote on today's poll question. If you want to text the show, the number is 21,000. The keyword is FSN Radio if you've never texted the show before.
Like someone mentions that Annika should have been on the list. Oh, okay. A nomination for Sue Bird, who we seriously considered. We kind of look at Sue Bird as like the Bill Russell of women's basketball.
Great champion. Don't know. I mean, she's not the best player to ever play.
Arguably best resume, though.
Right.
Right. And that was same with Russell. Now, some would argue, Bob Ryan and others maybe argued that Bill Russell was the greatest player of all time. We don't. Greatest champion. Greatest winner. Sue Bird. No one's ever won more than Sue Bird.
No.
As a woman playing basketball. And very few have won that much as a woman playing sports. Or men playing sports, for that matter. But, so, it's always tough when you try to narrow it down to 4. It's, it's one or the other. Either there's only 3.
Or there's 8.
Exactly.
100%.
So that's our poll question, though. Greatest female athlete. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, FloridaSportsNetwork.com, and vote accordingly. Did you make anything from the LIV golf ruling yesterday? Or do you think it has no bearing on the bigger ruling?
I think it has absolutely zero bearing on the bigger ruling. This was an opportunity for players who have already had a cash grab to get another cash grab. And they went in with, what was it? Irreparable harm.
Yeah.
That was done to them. And it was very easy in this case for the judge to look at them and go, you made more leaving than you would have made staying. So I have no way to go with the irreparable harm.
Right.
It seemed like a pretty easy thing for her to throw out, David.
And, they tried to argue that we haven't been able to play in events that get world golf ranking points and we shouldn't be penalized for doing this. She also concluded and basically said the words, because the other thing they argued is that they shouldn't be allowed to ban us. We qualified. I mean, I think in the one golfer's case, isn't Taylor Gooch like in the top 30?
Yes.
In terms of FedEx Cup points?
The other 2 are not, but he's a top 30 guy.
The other 2 are like in the high 60s.
Correct.
Right. So in theory, they'd have to not be awful this week if they were allowed in to stay in the top 70, right? Or is the top 70 get in? I think this year it's top 125.
Right.
And then in the future they're going to narrow it down.
Narrow it down.
Top 70.
This
top
is the
50,
last
top
year of
30.
top 125.
Right. And so then they go from 125 to 70. But Beth Freeman was the district court judge in Northern California, and she denied. And by the way, the whole thing took like 3-4 hours. It was glorious. Man, I wish the NFL could do things like this. We just settle this Deshaun Watson thing. Come on. And how about a day? I'll give you a full day. One day.
Could you do it today or tomorrow? That's all I'm really asking of you. Can you not do it Friday at 9:05?
And I know the league doesn't think they have an obligation to the Browns. Come on.
No, David, if Deshaun Watson would have signed a normal contract, I think this would have all been said and done. I think there's part of the entire 31 teams telling the league, take your time with this.
Right. Stick it to the Browns.
The Browns just stuck it to all of us with this contract.
5 for 230, fully guaranteed.
And then they throw the $1 million salary on for the first year, basically daring the league to suspend him for more than that, to where it will actually affect Deshaun Watson in the pocketbook. It's going to affect him missing a year. This will be this is going to be 2 seasons now that he's not played football, if the league gets what they want.
Right. But I will say this. There are those that make the argument that that's why he should only get 6 to 8 because, well, he didn't play last year. He chose not to play
one
last
has
year.
nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the other.
Now, some people don't feel that way, though. You and I do. You and I are like, no. He didn't want to play for Houston. They didn't want him to play for Houston. So it was a joint agreement he would not play last year. And he got paid, by the way. Full rate. Got $15 million to not play last year. It's a pretty good gig. So, and he's already gotten 45 for this year.
Right.
No matter
That's
what happens.
$60 million in the last 2 years for not playing football.
Right. He's yet to play a game in the last year and a half. He's put $60 million in his checking account. By the way, how much of that do you put in your checking account? I mean, how much money do you carry in your
Let's
checking
just say
account?
that 50% goes to taxes.
Okay.
Just because it makes the math easier.
So it's 30
So
million.
I've got 30 million.
How much of it goes somewhere else and how much of it is liquid?
Don't you just want to put at least $1 million in your checking account just so that there's a crooked number? Do you put 1 to 5 in the checking and put the rest away somewhere else?
Well, for a week, I put the whole thing in checking.
Just so you could take some money out of the ATM and see that balance?
Yes. Totally.
Hey, look at my balance.
Also, I want to be
29,999,000.
955. Right.
980. I just took out 20. That's all I
20
needed.
bucks. Right. But also, me,
Buying
Mark,
snow cones.
because I'm still writing checks and still have a checkbook. So I want to be able to literally write it in the checkbook and look at it. Go, man, they didn't give me enough space for all these numbers.
One day that should be our poll question.
What's that?
Do you keep an actual balance of your checking account, or do you rely on your ATM receipt to tell you how much is in your account?
Well, it's what, your wife and me? Are we the last 2 people?
I think, now, because that I have 2 people in my life who both do it to the penny all the time, I'm of the assumption that there are more like that.
I don't do it to the penny. Like right now, I'm 7 cents off, and I don't care. You know why? Because I don't write the interest in. Like occasionally you get like a penny or 2 pennies or what have you interest. I don't write that in. So I'm 7 cents off. I don't care.
You are living on the edge.
Now, apparently that would drive your wife bonkers.
Yes. I'd get blamed somehow for that, David. That would be my fault.
7 cents. See,
What did you do? Did you transfer something? Did you do this on purpose?
but see, that's when you go to the car, you grab a nickel, 2 pennies, you come back in, you put it on the counter, you go, here, do me a favor, leave me alone. I love you, but just don't talk to me for an hour. Here's your 7
Balance
cents.
to the penny.
I got your 7 cents.
I'll balance to the penny. I'll pull up the app and tell you exactly what I've got in it. That's balancing it to the penny.
Got your 7 cents right here. Miller and Moulton. Big day today. It's a big football day today. Could break the internet. We'll tell you about it next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is Mia Hamm American?
Yes.
Yeah, she is.
Is the phrase third base hyphenated?
No.
It's just third space base.
Correct.
It's a three-man rush. You're absolutely right. Are you kidding me? You're unbelievable. Now we are going to go to, this is Sean McVay's time in Washington. So we're bringing it back to 2015, week 7. Bucks at Skins. Yep. 2nd and 7 on the Tampa Bay 24. 58 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Jamison Crowder wheel route down the right sideline. Jamison Crowder wheel route down the right sideline. Set up the first down, and then how did that drive in? Jordan Reed touchdown and a 4x1 individual ISO slant. And what meme was that game? You like that? He's good. He's real good. Check out the brain on Sean. Amazing. Week 12, St.
Just use it to ramp me up. I just think it's funny.
Oh, is that the...
Yeah. His entrance.
Gotcha.
Got a good Twitter suggestion, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, saying we might have missed one for best female athlete. And I said, okay, who? And he went, Mia Hamm. And I went, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I said, first off, I need you to tell me now, a generation later, do we think she was better than Abby Wambach? I go, that's the first thing you got to do. We got to, if we're going to put a soccer player up on it, we got to make sure we got the best one. And I'm not sure at the end of the day, Mia was better than Abby.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, don't either.
Ten seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I will say, and we knew when we were going down this road, all right, we wanted to honor not just Serena, but, women's sports by having this poll question, which, very rarely do we go this route. But we knew when we had a list that people were going to go, not so crazy about the list. I think you got one wrong. I think you missed one. All right. So let me ask you this. Matthew Bixby, listening elsewhere, following us on Twitch. Thank you, Matthew. He said, hey, I think Mia Hamm should have been on the list.
Okay.
And our list, by the way, it's our poll question, greatest female athlete. Serena, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky. Certainly put Mia Hamm on the list. The one question I would like asked from the soccer aficionados out there, Mia was the 90s. Are we sure now, a generation later, do we think Mia is still better than Abby Wambach?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either. Not going to pretend that I do. To me, Abby was amazing. The power, the strength, huge goals, by the way, in her career. Huge. But, just throwing it out there.
Well, we had someone on Twitter also basically saying that Jenny Thompson won more than Ledecky and was a better athlete than Serena. Jenny Thompson won more gold medals than Ledecky. She did not win more world championship medals. Katie Ledecky is the most decorated female swimmer ever when it comes to world championships and gold medals.
Right.
She's also still swimming. We don't think that her time in the pool is done.
Right.
But it is a
great point.
It's a great point.
Right. And she's, that person's basically saying that, don't get me wrong, Ledecky's amazing. I actually think this person was a better swimmer, though.
Had one earlier that said Amanda Nunes, the UFC fighter, is a better athlete than all of them.
Huh.
And if you don't like it, she'll kick your ass.
Tough to argue with that point.
I'm going old school for you right there.
I'm going to go with what he's saying. Why? Well,
because my mom can kick your mom's ass. That's why.
So, heading into the break, I said today was a huge day.
Huge
football day.
Yes.
Huge. Which doesn't make any sense because, we're 17 days away from week 0, 22 away from week 1, and the 5-day extravaganza that is the start of the college football season. And 4 weeks tomorrow, 29 days away from Bills and Rams. So how could today be a big football day? Mark, don't doubt me. Today is the day that the Dolphins and Bucks have joint practice.
You got that right.
Right. So, we get to see Tua, and apparently the fastest damn offense that's ever been created.
But it's going to play against the defense that's not the Miami Dolphins defense.
Right. It's got two linebackers who can go sideline to sideline. Right. Uh-huh. But also it's Tom Brady on the same field as the Miami Dolphins when,
Which team's he going to quarterback in the scrimmage today? Tom, did you bring your teal jersey too?
I mean, would you still have been number 12? First off, if you're the Dolphins, I mean, could you have a sense of humor about this? Could you show up? Really?
No.
You couldn't show up with a 12 Brady jersey?
I got you. But outside of the Patriots, I think the Dolphins have the worst sense of humor in the National Football League.
Really? They've got Mark Anthony, Fergie, the Estefans as owners. I don't know. I think they've got a sense of humor.
They're not cool enough to pull some stuff off like that. Not cool enough yet.
This new coach, though, he seems to me like somebody who would do it.
Now that I'll give you.
Mike McDaniel seems just quirky enough that he would find it funny. He goes, we're practicing the Patriots next week.
Yes.
Okay, what we should do is we should have a Dolphins Brady jersey and go, hey, Tom, I found this laying around the office.
It's funny. It's a good little joke. It would be great, but he couldn't do it to Tua.
No, you let Tua in on it.
You let Tua give him the jersey.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, you have Tua put his arm around him, and you want to come over and where are you working today?
Wear the jersey. Come out with the jersey on.
Stand next to him.
Yes. I mean,
would be fantastic.
Listen, if I'm Stephen Ross,
he can't be at practice. He's suspended.
No, but he's got to give permission. I mean, I know he's not the owner for the next 9 weeks, but he's the owner for the next 9 weeks. I mean, he's in New York. I mean, he can't turn on the TV.
By the way, where he always is.
Well, right, except for game day. Except for the 8 or 9 a year in which he flies in on Saturday night. Shows up Sunday morning, goes, hey, Dan, good to see you. How are things going?
How's my office?
Right. How's the team look this week? How do you feel? You got a good feeling about today? But I mean, you got to call him. You got to let him know and say, listen, don't freak out. But we're going to have a little fun about this.
Yeah, I don't think Mr. Ross has that type of sense of humor right now with the fine that he's just been levied and the games that he has to miss. But I like everything about it.
You're joking about this. I denied that any of this ever happened. Come on, Mr. Ross.
And 100,000 a loss. 100,000 a loss. Oh, that was 2 years
Sorry,
ago.
that was the other part. I got cleared of that. Don't worry about it, Mr. Ross. We'll see you for the Steelers game mid-October. It'll be fine.
That is interesting. They're all into the 50th anniversary of the undefeated season, and the owner
Sure.
can't be anywhere near the building.
Not until, like mid-October anyway.
He's back for the big celebration, though.
Yeah, apparently they're doing the most about the 1972 team for the Steelers home game, which I think is late October. So, and he's back for that one. This would be funny, though. Do you remember? It's the first reference I could think of. There are others. But St. John's and Georgetown, mid-'80s, they hated each other, the whole deal. Carnesecca had the sweater, which was catching on, and John Thompson, it's at the Garden. All right, they're the number 1 and 2 teams in the country. All right, St. John's had gone to Landover, or not Landover, but yeah, I think actually they played it at Landover and beat Georgetown in a tremendous game, and now they're having the rematch 2 weeks later, and Georgetown's number 1 and the whole deal, and John Thompson comes out of the locker room, and he's got his suit on, and he opens up the sport coat, and it's Carnesecca's sweater. Okay, totally diffuse the situation. Louis comes over, hugs him, laughs, goes for pictures, the whole deal. Georgetown wins by 20. All right, I mean, there's just a part of me that thinks that the Dolphins and Tua should have some fun with this.
Now, David, I agree with you, but it either stands for not for long or the no fun league. There's nobody at Park Avenue that would have a sense of humor about that. That's the problem. David, that is so good. That's better than a phone falling out of your pocket when you slide into third.
I still can't believe that happened. He almost destroyed his phone too.
It's just amazing that he didn't feel it walking to the plate, and he had it in the dugout. How
Yeah,
the phone with you in the dugout?
Exactly.
First off, what was he doing before he went to the on deck circle? The odds are it was sitting. So he knew he had the phone. I don't buy that he didn't know he didn't have
No,
a
he
phone.
definitely knew. He had to have it. That's a brick in your butt.
Yeah, thank
Or
you.
On your butt.
We got you.
We got you. Just, we're an FCC violation an hour right now.
Call Seth. All right.
Yeah, but really quickly on that, who thought in the 8 o'clock hour it was Mark Lai that was going to jump the shark, not Seth?
Well, that's true.
Usually it's Seth that we have for that.
That's true. Miller and Moulton, good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. It's all next.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see the Brooklyn Cyclones, Elaine dancing?
No, that's funny.
Oh my God. Did you see this tweet from Darren Ravel?
No.
Last night, a bettor at Caesars put $264,000 on the Cardinals to beat the Rockies. Cardinals were down 12-0 after 3 innings and lost by 11. Adam, what was it? Was it Arthur Blank and Mercedes-Benz Stadium a couple years ago? And they had the cheapest concession prices in like professional sports. And that's with the Chick-fil-A concession stand closed for every game because it's Sundays and Chick-fil-A is closed Sundays. And yet they had the best concessions sales in the league with the lowest prices. Imagine that. It's almost like dollar menus working. It's like Walmart being popular.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. One sports note just want to throw in there. We all have our sleeper teams, pro, college. And I had said the other day, a team I really like that no one's going to talk about, although they were nationally ranked in the coaches poll, is Wake Forest.
Yeah, Texas got a #1 vote in the coaches poll too. So how seriously can we take it?
Texas at 18, Miami at 17, but 19 was Wake Forest.
Right.
Well, they were returning a 3-year starter at quarterback named Sam Hartman. Really good player. And Wake Forest brings back like 19 out of 22 starters. And they were a salty team last year. Turns out something's wrong with Sam Hartman, and it's not a football thing. Medical condition of some kind, and they said, he's not going to be playing for a while. So, not that many of us know about Sam Hartman or follow Wake Forest football closely, but that was going to be a difficult team to handle in the ACC, which is actually going to be much better this year than past years. But that's out, hope the best for him. But
Yeah, that's terrible. You hate to hear that
for the Deacons, though.
Hate to hear that, especially when you don't really have an idea of what it is. It's
Right.
a scary situation, I think, and hopefully that it's just something that gets taken care of and resolved quickly.
But just wanted to mention that's a college football news story today that you might hear more of later on.
We got sound, or I need to do Vicky's voice again?
We got sound.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, please hold that voice for our sake.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I love this because we signed the Declaration of Independence quite a while ago. Today in 1776, however, word gets to London about this Declaration of Independence.
So it took about 5 weeks, huh?
No, what? No Twitter?
Not even the pigeons, nothing.
No. 1904, this one's mostly for David. New York Highlanders pitcher Jack Chesbrough ends his string of 30 consecutive complete games in a 5-1 loss to the White Sox.
Man, 30 in a row.
Right. That's more than we'll have this entire season, probably. Today in 34, Babe Ruth announces this will be his final season as a full-time player. Today in 44, Braves' Red Barrett had one up on Greg Maddox when he shuts out the Cincinnati Reds 2-0, throwing 58 pitches to do so.
That's unbelievable.
Today in 71, Harmon Killebrew becomes the 10th to get 500 home runs, and just for good measure, he hit his 501st today as well. 1975, Jack wins his 4th PGA at Firestone. Today in 79, Michael Jackson's Off the Wall is released. I argue it's his best album.
The documentary's fantastic.
Oh, the Michael Jackson documentary from post-Jackson 5 through Off the Wall.
Wow.
I'm with you.
And obviously, Thriller did better.
It did better.
A couple albums did better in the 80s.
Right.
But
I think this is a better album. That's all. It's my opinion. 1980, Jack wins his 5th and final PGA at Oak Hill, winning by 7 over Andy Bean. Today in 81, Rose with 3,631, breaking Musial's National League hit record.
Still the great stat, though, Musial stat. 3,630 hits, 18-15 at home, 18-15 on the road.
Today in 84, the U.S. would dominate, beating Spain to win the men's gold medal. That team had some future Dream Teamers on it. Also in 84, the Chili Peppers released their debut album. In 85, Michael Jackson pissed off Paul McCartney when he bought the publishing rights to the Beatles song catalog.
Boy, did he ever. Did he ever.
2008, Padraig Harrington wins his second major ahead of Sergio Garcia winning the PGA at Oakland Hills. Rory beats Phil by 1 at the 2014 PGA at Valhalla. Those born today that are no longer with us: Henri Nestle, big in chocolate; Herbert Hoover, big in government; Jimmy Dean, big in sausage.
Get you.
Ian Anderson, the singer from Jethro Tull, is 75. Rosanna Arquette is 63. Antonio Banderas is 62. John Starks is 57. Riddick Bowe is 55. Gino Torretta is 52 today. Matt Prater celebrating birthday number 38. And John Morant is 23 years old today. And that is Today Was the Day When, unless I missed anything, David.
A couple little things I'm just going to throw out there. Granted, this was in a particular part of our country, and maybe the rest of the country didn't care or didn't even hear about it, but Son of Sam arrested today in 77. And I will say that David Berkowitz had New York City and the surrounding areas on edge for a couple of months. And since it was in New York, it made national news. Funny how that works. The first PG-13 movie was today in 1984, Red Dawn.
Loved that movie.
The first ever PG-13 movie. And I missed one. It's very, very, don't know if it's worthy of it, but you remember the Pinto that got hit and exploded?
Yes.
Today, 78 in Indiana.
Ooh, all right.
All right. So, Son of Sam, the fatal Ford Pinto crash, and Red Dawn.
PG-13.
First one ever. Yep.
Probably an appropriate rating.
For that one?
No, I mean just in general. There's
Right.
PG, and then there's, PG that's a little bigger.
I mean, apparently PG-13 had only gone in like a month earlier. All right, in July. And so they decided whatever, the Patrick Swayze Red Dawn was the first one to get it.
Wolverine! Sorry.
I got a mini one, but in 08, the Redeem team played their first game, men's basketball team. I think the Dream Team is better, but some people say it's close.
Actually, somebody brought up the argument the other day, and if you go that the 2012 team, if we look back historically, okay, it's not Dream Team 2 or Dream Team 3, but that actually the 2012 team, because that's when you've got LeBron and you've got Wade and you've got Durant and you've got Carmelo and what have you, and they're all young or in their prime. And they actually, NBA Radio did a breakdown of like how many are on the top 75 list. And believe it or not, the 2012 team is close. They're like one shy in every category. Championships, okay, how many made the top 75 team, all that. I mean, the Dream Team's better, but we think of it, those of us of a certain age, we think of it as it's come on, nothing's ever going to compete with the Dream Team. And it's a little surprising how in the area code the 2012 team is.
I buy that.
Well, also Harden and Westbrook were on that team.
Everything's
That's two more MVPs.
Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it now, 10 years later, and you go, damn. Wow.
Yeah, and they actually had competition for these teams. I mean, it's hard to even put the first three teams into perspective because they were beat,
I don't know who the hell Angola is.
right.
But Angola in trouble.
And Angola in trouble.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Lehigh Acres for the good. For one of our listeners, I want to wish a very happy birthday to one of David's favorite fans, Dory Kemmler. She's 105 today, David, and I've got to imagine she's a big fan of yours. That hits your demo right in the middle.
That is my demo. That is my demo.
So happy birthday, Dory, and from both David and Mark, but particularly from David.
I'll be over later. All right, we'll play cards.
For the bad, we'll stay in Florida, go to the Tampa area, Tarpon Springs, where Rochelle Wright became involved in a verbal argument while drunk with her boyfriend, and now she faces a domestic assault charge for throwing a raw steak at her partner. Apparently, the meat missed its mark. Instead, the steak struck the victim's chair in a nearby wall. When questioned by the police, Wright said she was tired of his behavior, and they're arguing, and I flung the steak. She was arrested.
Can't throw away good steak.
For the ugly, we'll stick around Tampa, where man was bailed out of jail on a drunken driving charge Sunday morning, and then while in the parking lot tried to break into 3 vehicles. They were all police cars. He made it out of jail for a matter of minutes. He posted his $500 bond, was released from jail, tried to break in a Chevy Tahoe, a Chevy Impala, and a Ford that were all parked at the jail. He told deputies that he thought that his keys were in those vehicles. He was arrested on 3 charges of auto burglary and later released on $15,000 bail. Hell of a day. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, August the 10th, 2022.
Can't be breaking into cop cars. Look, I've always wondered how fast those things really are, but come on.
We've talked about it. And can't lay your hands on them. Can't steal their stuff.
No.
I mean, not only that, there's a lot more of them than you. I mean, somehow, some way you avoid the first 2. I mean, they've got reinforcements. So we have 6-day baseball games today, including the Rays in action in Milwaukee at 2:10. Yankees, Mariners, Mets go for the sweep against the Reds. Just going to throw this out there. If you bet, or you'd like to bet, the best pitcher in the National League is pitching tonight in Philadelphia. Sandy Alcantara and the Marlins are underdogs tonight against Noah Syndergaard and the Phillies. Phillies have won 6 straight.
Marlins can't hit.
Nobody can hit Sandy Alcantara, though.
Nope.
I mean, you get Sandy Alcantara as an underdog tonight. If you're going to bet a baseball game, doesn't that have to be the game?
And Alcantara's better at home, but
yeah,
I would still take it.
You're basically getting even money on the best pitcher in the league.
And not only that, Phillies have won 6 in a row. I mean, it's sometimes in baseball you just do. Phillies won last night, obviously. I don't know. I'm thinking, here's the other thing. Do you think the Orioles sweep the Jays?
Well, that was the one. That's where I thought you were going. When you went to bets for tonight, I thought you were going to the Jays and the Orioles because you're not laying a monster number with the Jays. It's minus $1.50. I don't see Toronto sweeping Baltimore. I just don't.
And the Cardinals send a much better pitcher to the hill tonight in Colorado, and they got beat 16-5 last night to the Cardinals. So, if those of you that actually are into this sort of thing and might want to throw a shekel or 2 out there, get the best pitcher in the National League, even money tonight, maybe even a little bit on your side. Are the Orioles really going to sweep the Jays? And the Cardinals got pounded last night.
By the way, I might throw a shekel on Sonny Gray and the Twinkies tonight so they don't get swept in LA, just for what it's worth. If I were to take a dog, I would take the Twins tonight.
Boy, it is so tough to bet against the Dodgers.
I got you. They've got to lose a game at some point.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Have you checked out the run differential, by the way? It's over 200.
They were close with the Yankees after the All-Star break, and the Yankees has obviously gone the other way.
Dodgers have scored 233 more runs than they've given up. 233. That's over 2 runs a game differential. Remember, they've lost 33 games. So actually, Mark, in their 76 wins, they're plus 3 runs a game. I mean, they just beat the Padres 3 straight, 20-4. They outscored them. They're leading the league in runs against and runs for. By wide margins, by the way. And that's with, Kershaw and guys hurt. Muncy's hitting $170. Bellinger's batting 9th. I mean, it's funny. They actually have a lot of things going wrong.
But when you're that good,
They're a machine right now. 10 in a row, 9 in a row, something like that. 9 in a row. You want to throw money on Sonny Gray, huh?
I just telling you, if I were to bet a dog tonight, you're
Right.
getting good odds.
That is true. That is true. They're due to, if I think the Phillies after 6 in a row might be due to lose, you could say the same thing about the Dodgers. 9
The
in a
Dodgers
row.
are playing a better team.
True. That is true.
And a little bit of urgency. The Twins now not in first place by themselves for the first time, I think, really since, March, April.
All right. I like it. It's bold. I'm not going to be that bold.
Yeah, you were the one wanting me to bet Cincinnati earlier this week, and I told you I wouldn't.
I know.
Where are you going to go?
They had ducks all over the pond that game, too. They were a hit away from winning that game against the Mets. They really were. The Mets had like 1 inning, and the Reds had 2 runners on base seemingly every inning for 2 hours. Couldn't get the key hit. I was thinking about it watching the game. I'm like, oh, man, plus 330.
Tell you the other two, Rays need to start winning some baseball games, too, because those Orioles are right on their heels.
Half a game back. Miller and Moulton. Well, enjoy your hump day. Have a great rest of your day. What do you say we do this tomorrow? Remember, fantasy football draft presented by Clutch Vodka.
Clutch with a K.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Grab the last spots. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy